The story of the Seattle Mariners is extraordinarily weird, and it takes a very long time to tell, so let's not waste any time. This story begins the only way it ever could have begun, with 140 acts of arson. Robert Bruce Driscoll, seen here in handcuffs after he was finally caught in 1935, was a transient who had struggled to find work in the wake of the Great Depression. This era engendered hatred of the rich and capitalism in general in many people, including Driscoll. In the New Deal 1930s, while those in power were busy trying to cobble together a kinder, gentler type of capitalism, Driscoll took a more direct approach, setting stuff on fire. One official described him as, quote, the most dangerous pyromaniac ever known on the Pacific Coast. Over the course of several years, he destroyed at least $18 million worth of property in today's money, indiscriminately setting fire to factories, lumber mills, churches, and a baseball stadium. Dugdale Field was a small but adequate ballpark that served as home to the minor league Seattle Indians. Late at night, on July 4th, 1932, Driscoll gathered some game programs that were lying around, used them to set the grandstands on fire, retreated to a nearby hill, and watched the whole thing burn down. When it did, the team was forced to relocate to Civic Stadium. The thing to know about Civic Stadium is that it couldn't really be called a field because the term field implies grass, which Civic Stadium didn't quite have. The playing area was almost entirely dirt. It was described as a mud hole, everyone hated it, attendance cratered, and the Indians were in serious financial trouble. The person who kept the team in Seattle was Emil Sick, a local beer magnate who bought the team in 1937 and renamed it the Seattle Rainiers. Among the promises he delivered on was the construction of a brand new ballpark, built right on top of the burned-down Dugdale Field. It was described as one of the finest on the continent. In other words, it was a sick stadium. It was named Sick Stadium. We move forward now to the 1960s when Major League Baseball is playing musical chairs with American cities. It's the perfect time for Seattle to try and lure a major sports team, and thanks in part to our arsonist friend, Sick Stadium is there to serve as the bait. The Cleveland Indians, Milwaukee Braves, and Kansas City Athletics all express interest, but plans to expand the ballpark to major league capacity fall through, and discussions stall out. The Kansas City A's end up moving to Oakland instead, which makes a very important person very upset. Missouri Senator Stuart Symington is furious over losing the A's and demands that the American League put a team back in KC as soon as possible. In 1960, he lost the Democratic presidential primary to JFK, and it's been alleged that Kennedy was all set to pick Symington as his running mate until Lyndon Johnson, again, allegedly, blackmailed his way into the position. Whatever the case, Symington ultimately receives a consolation prize in the founding of the Kansas City Royals after Symington threatened to pursue legislation that would jeopardize Major League Baseball's precious antitrust exemption, which essentially allowed it to operate as a monopoly. This could have cost MLB tons of money, so they caved in, and the Royals were born. Now, the Royals were scheduled to begin play in 1971. Since the American League wanted to expand in pairs, they awarded a second expansion franchise to Seattle, with the estimation that 3 years and change was enough time to renovate Sick Stadium into a major league park. But Symington raised hell. He didn't want to wait 3 years for the Kansas City Royals, he wanted them now. Desperate to escape his wrath, AL owners met in the middle of the night and bumped up the Royals' opening day by 2 years. And the same applied for Seattle's new team. In the strangest way, it had all happened. A serial arsonist necessitated the construction of a new stadium that, decades later, served as the bargaining chip necessary for Seattle to land a Major League Baseball team. In 1969, the Seattle Pilots were born. Pilots are gone.
So, after their maiden voyage in the Pacific Northwest, the Pilots took off and headed east to Milwaukee to become the Brewers, which is completely asinine and nearly unprecedented in the 4 major American professional sports leagues. But not completely unprecedented, and in fact, ironically enough, the lone other instance of an MLB team up and leaving their original city after a single year also involved an organization known as the Milwaukee Brewers. They were MLB's worst team, struggled to draw fans, and incurred massive debt. So they were sold for $40 grand and moved to St. Louis for a while before eventually settling in as the Baltimore Orioles. Over in pro football, the Chargers spent their debut season in Los Angeles in 1960 and simply couldn't generate enough fan interest as the LA Coliseum was generally about 90% empty for their games. When San Diego swooped in and offered a temporary place to play for free, the Chargers packed their bags and headed 2 hours south to forever make moot the issue of no one in LA caring about them. Meanwhile, the Dallas Texans won a championship in just their third year of existence in 1962, but hated sharing a market with the Cowboys so much that they still bailed immediately after that to Kansas City and renamed the Chiefs. The closest anyone came in the NBA was when the team now known as the Washington Wizards kicked off their first couple years in Chicago before relocating to Baltimore and adopting the Bullets moniker, while the Rockets only made it 4 years in San Diego before shoddy attendance resulted in a sale that had them Houston-bound in 1971, which, given their astronomical name, I could have called from day one. The Tri-Cities Blackhawks did move to Milwaukee after 2 years in the NBA, but they'd been around for a few years prior in a league known as the NBL. And in the NHL, after just 2 seasons, the Kansas City Scouts were hemorrhaging money, which led to their sale and move to Colorado before ultimately becoming the New Jersey Devils. So the Seattle Pilots becoming the Milwaukee Brewers joined just the Chargers and Milwaukee Brewers as truly changing markets after their initial season. They were the last ones to do it, and now more than a half century removed, it's hard to imagine they won't remain that way forever.
The reason they left really wasn't that complicated. As a minor league park, Sick's Stadium was fine. If they'd had enough time to prepare, they probably could have built it into a serviceable major league stadium. They did not have enough time, and Sick's Stadium was an absolute hellhole. Thanks to Senator Symington's impatience and a rough winter, the renovation project derailed. They'd managed to slap together some bleachers, but builders were still scrambling to put them together on opening day. Fans were lined up waiting to get in, and once they finished building a row of bleachers, they let a few more of them through. The visitors' press box had an obstructed view of left field, and whenever a ball was hit there, announcers had to turn around and watch the game through a mirror. There was nowhere for photographers to set up, so they had to take all their photos while sitting way up on the grandstand roof, which probably explains why there are so few photos of Seattle Pilots home games. But what really did them in was the plumbing, which worked pretty well when it accommodated around 10,000 people. Over the years, whenever it drew sellout crowds of around 14,000, it typically had a little trouble with overflow. But at its new 25,000-seat maximum capacity, the stadium became a biohazard. The whole place completely lost water pressure. Players had to go home or head back to their hotel rooms just to take a shower. Concessions workers couldn't wash their hands. Toilets wouldn't flush. And since the toilets wouldn't flush, they had to lug in portable toilets. The Pilots' former PR director, Bill Sears, once recalled a story. The morning after a night game, a team employee walks past some porta-johns and he hears pounding. He unlocks the door and outruns a terrified man. Stadium workers had locked the doors, not realizing he had passed out inside. He'd been trapped there all night. Sick's Stadium was torn down just a decade later, and the place where it once stood is now occupied by a Lowe's. Out front, near the loading area, there's an unceremonious little monument to the Pilots, a stand-up of a batter propped up next to the original location of home plate, holding eternal watch over a flock of lumber carts. It's so obviously in everybody's way. It's got to be a matter of time before some fed-up employee rips it out and throws it in storage. But for the moment, it's here. And it's all that remains of the one and only season of the Seattle Pilots, one of the worst ideas in the history of Major League Baseball. Let's take one last moment to appreciate that this stadium is literally named Sick's Stadium, and then close the door on this chapter forever. As quickly as the Seattle Pilots came, they were gone. However, anticipating the arrival of the Pilots, the city had, in the late 60s, already allocated funding for a brand new stadium. Seattle was so determined to land a baseball team and an NFL team that they broke ground on the site before the city was promised either one. The Kingdome was a cavernous, all-purpose indoor arena with about 3 times as many seats as Sick's Stadium ever had. It wasn't blind faith, though. A lawsuit, first threatened in 1970 as a means of keeping baseball in Seattle, had spent all decade looming over the American League. It finally went to court in 1976. And for the second time in 10 years, the league responded to a lawsuit with a resounding, fine, whatever. and granted Seattle a brand new baseball team. To name the team, they turned to the public and asked for submissions. The winning entry, Mariners, was submitted by a Bellevue man named Roger Smotus. The team announced that in recognition, Smotus would be awarded season tickets. But they couldn't find him. They went to his apartment. They left him messages. After several weeks, nothing. Roger Smotus had vanished. So far, we've been unable to dig up any evidence that he was ever found. But thanks to him, we have a word for whatever it is the last 43 years have been. This team was delivered to us through arson, political strong-arming, poopy toilets, a lawsuit, and a missing person. Every team has its highs and lows, frustration, heartbreak, greatness, and confusion, but no other team is like this one. The Seattle Mariners are eminently lovable, profoundly human, and stunningly, outrageously weird. You may not buy this yet, but believe us when we say it. There is no more fascinating team across the entire history of American sports.
Those Mariners began play in 1977, and I loved their first year so much. Here, we see their game-by-game timeline. In game number 5, they fell to a losing record and never again made it back to 500. And thanks to a late-season slide, they finished their first campaign with a 64-98 record. But my favorite part about it is how often they just laid down for their opponent. On 9 different occasions, they lost by double-digit runs when no one else in MLB that year outside Atlanta absorbed even half as many bludgeonings. 5 of those 9 Seattle disasters came in August, too, meaning they accomplished within a single calendar month what 24 of the other 25 teams didn't throughout the entire season. A season that set the tone for their first decade of existence, which, by the way, featured 40 such whoopings. They lost at least 95 games in 6 of their first 10 seasons, and were on pace for a 7th were it not for a strike-shortened 1981 season. Altogether, they lost 924 games in that period, over 60 more than anyone else. A look at run differential is an even scarier sight. Powered by 5 dead last in MLB finishes in their first 10 seasons, they allowed nearly 1,400 more runs than they scored in that time, which is over 70% worse than the second worst team. Needless to say, they never even sniffed the top of the AL West to gain entry into the postseason. This green bar indicates the record of the division winner that season. In other words, the number of wins the Mariners would have needed to reach the playoffs. Excluding the strike campaign, they finished an average of 26.7 games out of playoff position each time the curtain closed on a season. Year after year, their September games were about as meaningful as the human appendix. Even worse, whereas plenty of teams at least have some star power or reasons for excitement, the first era of Mariner baseball lacked in all that. In none of those 10 seasons did the Mariners have a starting pitcher with an ERA under 3. They didn't have a player reach even 30 homers in a season until year 9, when Gorman Thomas hit 32. The very best players that had come through their organization were pretty anonymous names that would have been merely run-of-the-mill players on virtually any other team. Their top pitchers were guys like Floyd Bannister and Jim Beattie. Their best bats during this time were perhaps Bruce Bochy and, even though he didn't even peak for them until later on, Alvin Davis. If you're familiar with them, you know they weren't exactly folks that put asses in seats. If you're not familiar with them, well, they weren't exactly folks that put asses in seats. So, why in the world would anyone watch this team?
If you choose to appreciate sports simply in terms of winning and losing, there is nothing for you here. If it's meaningful drama you want, you're out of luck. Even if all you're after is a narrative arc of any kind, I'm sorry, we're sold out. All the early Mariners have to offer is a scattering of bizarre stories, most of which involve some form or another of fraud.
Toward the tail end of the 1980 season, Mariners pitcher Rick Honeycutt had a once promising season spiraling away from him. Through 10 starts that year, he was one of the league's best pitchers, had an ERA under 2.5. But then by late September, he was reeling. His ERA had ballooned to nearly 5 across starts 11 through 29, leading up to a ball game in Kansas City. In the third inning of that one, Royals left fielder Willie Wilson tripled off him, and while standing on third base, noticed some happenings on the mound that smelled fishier than a stroll through Pike Place Market. Wilson urged the umpire to check out both the ball and Honeycutt's hand. Sure enough, in an effort to combat his recent struggles, he was discovered to have taped a dang thumbtack against his finger to cut the baseball. That's gotta be one of the stupidest, most obvious ways to cheat, just even in a vacuum. But Honeycutt made it worse. So much worse. Honeycutt somehow just totally forgot about the presence of said thumbtack, rubbed his face, and in the process lacerated his forehead, almost poking his eye out and leading to a 10-game suspension. Naturally, once his playing days were done, Honeycutt would eventually go on to have a lengthy second career as a pitching coach.
The next Mariners season, the strike-shortened 1981, is one of the dumbest seasons imaginable. At first, they're managed by Maury Wills, who has parlayed an excellent career as a shortstop into one of the most disastrous managerial careers in the history of baseball. Maury Wills was baseball's equivalent of the modern-day venture capital startup guy. Despite never having managed a baseball game, he wrote a book claiming that he and he alone was going to disrupt baseball and guaranteed that he would turn a last-place team into a World Series champion in just 4 years. Well, you can see how that went. Among all those who have managed at least 50 games, he has one of the worst winning percentages we've seen since World War II. And among those who began their careers in the 80s or 90s, he's the worst by miles. In terms of strategy, managing a baseball team is far less complicated than coaching a football or basketball team. So what does it mean then to be a bad manager? Leave the demonstration to Maury Wills, who found every conceivable way to be bad at his job. For one, he was always full of it. When Rick Honeycutt was thrown out of that game after the thumbtack incident, Wills said he didn't understand why he was ejected because the explanation was confusing. There is no way that was a confusing conversation. It goes something like, your pitcher taped a thumbtack to his finger and you're not allowed to do that. But Wills never seemed to own up to anything. Everything was always someone else's fault, usually his players. They couldn't stand him, and they were only kinda joking when they suggested that they should start losing games on purpose to get him fired sooner. Wills was this odd combination of authoritarian and checked out. The authoritarian side of him would wake up his players in the middle of the night to make sure they were in bed and chase after kids who caught home runs during batting practice. The checked out side of him would talk about starting players who had been traded away a month ago and head for the airport in the middle of a spring training game. As skipper, Wills made so many tactical errors that it would take another 10 minutes to go through them all, but one stands alone as the most thunderously stupid idea of his managerial career. Prior to a home game against the Oakland A's on April 25th, Wills pulls aside the team's groundskeeper and tells him to illegally paint the batter's boxes longer than the rulebook specifies. It now sticks an extra foot toward the field. The alleged benefit is that one of Wills' hitters, Tom Paciorek, will get a little extra room to step forward as he swings. The drawback is that during a baseball game, there is a person whose job it is to stand right here and stare at the field. He's known as an umpire, and he's been standing here for 3 hours a day for many, many years. If anything looks different, he will immediately recognize it. So, in Will's desperate effort to keep the Mariners from getting caught for something, he 100% guarantees they will get caught for something else. When they do, and he's suspended, he says he's shocked and dumbfounded. Yeah, man, me too. I thought that was going to work for sure. He's fired a few weeks later, ending one of the funniest managerial stints ever. He's dumb, says Brad Golden, the Mariners' journeyman catcher, who, by the way, is traded to the Yankees shortly thereafter. Golden ended up in Seattle in the first place because the Yankees traded him there for a player to be named later, which is a fairly common practice in baseball. It turns out the player to be named later is Brad Golden, who returns to the Yankees and becomes the second player in baseball history to be traded for himself.
Also in that 81 season, more fun stuff in a Mariners-Royals game. In the 6th inning of their May 27th affair, KC's center fielder Amos Otis hit this little dribbler up the third base line. Then, Seattle third baseman and part-time stand-up comic Lenny Randle did something you don't see every day. Something completely awesome. This. That's right. He got down on all fours and began furiously huffing and puffing and blowing at the ball in an effort to send it foul. And it worked. Well, sort of. His Three Little Pigs routine did indeed manipulate the ball over the chalk, and initially it was ruled a foul ball, with the home plate umpire unable to think of any specific rule against blowing the ball. But for the second year in a row, Royals manager Jim Fry was unamused by more Mariner ball-altering shenanigans, voicing his displeasure to home plate umpire Larry McCoy. Unfortunately, McCoy then changed his mind, refusing to just be cool and appreciate Randall's goof, instead awarding first base to Otis. This is something I've definitely thought about as it pertains to golf. If a putt stops just short, settling on the lip of the hole, I want to see golfers get down and blow it in. Randall, for the record, claims innocence, that he was merely yelling at the ball to go foul.
Oh, and a quick note on Lenny Randle, who was a pretty weak hitter in his Major League Baseball career. After retiring in 1982, he resurfaced in Italy a year later, hit .502, and became the god of Italian baseball. But 1981 isn't through with the Mariners yet. Just a few days after Randall's heroics, we see Seattle right fielder Jeff Burroughs being tagged out at home by the Rangers' Larry Cox. Cox is wearing the Rangers logo. Burroughs is also wearing the Rangers logo. Two teams with the same hats. It's probably the only time this has ever happened, and I think it's great. It always makes me cringe a little whenever I see two baseball teams playing against each other, because they would accomplish so much more if they were all on the same team and they worked together to achieve their goals, but sadly, the reality is a little bit more mundane. The Mariners' caps, helmets, and jerseys were stolen from the Rangers stadium. They did at least have their practice jerseys, but they had to borrow some of the Rangers' batting helmets to wear to the plate. They also threw a third team into the mix by hitting up the stadium gift shop and grabbing Milwaukee Brewers caps to wear in the field, choosing them because they closely resembled the Mariners' color scheme. This, of course, is because the Brewers stole the color scheme from Seattle in the first place when they packed up and left town. Anyway, freed from the oppression of being the Seattle Mariners for one night, they win 5-3. In the standings, 1981 was yet another genuinely meaningless season of Seattle baseball, but it was a big year for a couple of Mariners. Reliever Larry Anderson had languished in the minors for an entire decade before pitching well and finally securing a permanent roster spot. In the next season, he finally got his very own Major League Baseball card. Whoops, they spelled his name wrong. 1981 was also the year manager Rene Lachemann took the reins from Maury Wills, and although the Mariners finished well below .500, he earned the respect of his players and was kept on as the permanent manager for 1982. This, of course, earned him his very own baseball card. Whoops, they spelled his name wrong too. Now, both of these cards were from the Donruss Card Company's 1982 set. I looked through this entire 830 card set and I didn't find misspellings of players on any other team, only Mariners. This was no coincidence. Even to those in the baseball business, these guys were strangers. But not to us. Under Lachemann, the Mariners' sixth season was their best yet. They'd managed to take a winning record all the way into August, which they'd never before come anywhere close to doing. But who cares? There were greater matters at hand. Because for Rene Lachemann, this was the summer of Mr. Jello. News of the incident hits papers nationwide on July 4th, 1982, exactly 50 years to the day after Robert Bruce Driscoll's act of destruction set this endless chain of events into motion. The night prior, Lachemann returns to his hotel suite in Chicago. It's a luxury suite, complete with 2 bathrooms and quite well furnished, but when Lachemann enters, he finds that everything has disappeared. The paintings are gone from the walls. The furniture is missing. He reaches to turn on a light. Nothing. The bulb has been removed. Lachemann stumbles in darkness to the bedroom and feels for his bed. It isn't there. The walls are empty here as well. How is this possible? Perhaps the bathroom light works. All his furniture is piled up in the bathroom. He turns to look at the toilet. The toilet is full of Jello. Latchman races to the other bathroom. The other toilet is also full of Jello. He finds that the wall telephone is still there. He attempts to call his fellow coaches and players. He can hear them, but they cannot hear him. The mouthpiece has been removed from the phone. No one can hear his screams. Latchman sleeps on the floor that night. The next day, he dedicates himself to bringing the perpetrator to justice, offering a reward of hundreds of dollars for information leading to the culprit. This week, the Mariners will go 7 games above 500, which the Mariners have never done and will never do again until 1991. But who cares about that? There is toilet mystery afoot. At first, Latchman suspects ex-Mariner Tom Paciorek, who now plays for the nearby White Sox and lives in the area. When Paciorek supplies a convincing alibi, the trail goes cold. The remainder of the season, Latchman is taunted by anonymous room service orders for plates full of Jello that are delivered to his suite. Who would do this to the team's manager? Surely not a player, who has every incentive not to get on his bad side. And yet, when the chief collaborator reveals himself at season's end, it turns out to be someone who had everything to lose. Larry Anderson, one of baseball history's all-time greatest pranksters, had talked his way into getting Latchman's room key and orchestrated the entire thing. After finally clawing his way into the bigs, Anderson is having an awful 1982 on the mound. At the time of the incident, his ERA is 5.91, absolutely bad enough to get him sent back down to the minors. And if that happens at age 29, his career is just about done. Why in the world would he give Latchman any more reason to ship him out? Well, listen, you've got to occupy yourself with something, and that something cannot be baseball. Because baseball is really boring.
Let's move forward a few years to 1985. Going into July 9th, the Mariners were 41-40, entering the second half of the season with a winning record, an extremely rare feat for this ball club. They hosted Toronto that day in what was the 622nd game they'd ever played in a season's back half. But it was just the 26th that they entered above 500, the previous 25 coming in that 82 season. And as we'll see, they clearly had no idea how to conduct themselves in such unfamiliar territory. They got a rally going in the third inning with Phil Bradley in scoring position and less than 2 out for cleanup hitter Gorman Thomas, who banged this hit to right. Jesse Barfield fielded it and fired a beautiful throw home in time to get Bradley. But this one resulted in a massive collision with Blue Jays catcher Buck Martinez, who shattered his leg and dislocated his ankle. Thomas, a good pal of Martinez's from their 3 years as teammates in Milwaukee, tried to take advantage of that incapacitation by advancing to third base. Martinez still noticed and was able to get a throw off to third, but it sailed into left field where George Bell scooped it up and launched a throw home where Thomas was attempting to complete the 360-foot jaunt around the base path. And who was on the receiving end of that throw home? Why, it's the catcher, who's still writhing around on the ground, completely and literally broken. No matter, he's got a job to do. Martinez hauls in the throw and applies the tag to his buddy, who mercifully took his foot off the gas to avoid another collision. Thus, MLB's first ever 9-2-7-2 double play was born. The Mariners had done the seemingly impossible. They figured out a way to get multiple players thrown out at home by multiple different outfielders on the same play. Astonishing stuff from the M's, who would go on to lose 9-4, in the process kicking off a new multi-year drought of not entering any second half game with a winning record.
A 1985 survey asked Seattle area residents to name their favorite Mariner. The vast majority responded that they didn't know any. Every Mariners retrospective has to find something from this era to talk about, as much as we wish we could begin the story in the 90s. Usually the greatest achievement we can come up with is Gaylord Perry's 300th win in 1982. Even then, Perry was a journeyman who just happened to be a Mariner the day he did it. Oh, but lest you doubt he was a real Mariner, he'd be ejected and suspended a couple months later for doctoring the ball with Vaseline. Alongside Alvin Davis, the most recognizable player of the early years is probably Harold Reynolds, a two-time All-Star who was one of the best defensive second basemen of his era. He was also known for being thrown out on the bases, which he can't really be blamed for entirely. The Mariners utilized Reynolds, a very fast guy, as a very, very, very fast guy. In 1988, the consequence was the most counterproductive stolen base campaign of the last 90 years. Here is every player who's ever been caught at least 25 times in a season, plotted as a percentage of their stolen base attempts. In the 1910s, players went for steals with reckless abandon before everyone seemingly realized at the same time that it was a really bad idea. About 50 years later, stealing came back into vogue before everyone realized this again. Exhibit A was 1988 Harold Reynolds, who was caught 29 times against just 35 successful steals. In fact, Reynolds' top YouTube search result from his playing career is a clip of him being thrown out. It's one of the most memorable clips in Bo Jackson's endless highlight reel. From the warning track, he ignores the cutoff man entirely and fires an impossibly perfect strike into home. After the game, Reynolds was reportedly sitting in front of a VCR, watching it over and over again, trying to figure out how the hell it happened. This is how it was for the Mariners back then. They just kind of experienced the baseball other teams were playing. They weren't anyone's rival, they weren't even a national laughingstock in the way some other teams were. They simply did not register. As it concerns the Mariners, the only real important story was beginning on the other side of the country, in the Bronx. The year is most likely 1983. The Yankees manager is Billy Martin. Over the course of his managerial career, Martin got into a bar fight with one of his own players on multiple occasions. He busted a reporter's face open because he wouldn't show him his notes. He fought a stranger at a hotel bar after he insulted what the man did for a living, which was entirely inappropriate. There's absolutely nothing funny about being a marshmallow salesman. You go from town to town, probably have a suitcase with a bunch of marshmallows in it. Point being, Billy Martin was perhaps the most difficult person in the modern history of baseball. On this particular day, as the story goes, a lot of the players' kids are running around the clubhouse, but two kids are singled out in particular. Martin sends one of the team assistants to tell their father, the star first baseman, that his kids need to be quiet. The player naturally takes it as an insult. So does his oldest son, who would be about 13 years old at this time. This kid will hold a grudge against the New York Yankees for decades to come. You know his name. The son of Ken Griffey is the most beloved baseball player of the last 50 years. Fans were worried that they wouldn't ever get to see a player make it into the Hall of Fame with a Mariners hat on his plaque. Not because Jr. wouldn't get in, everyone saw that coming 20 years before the fact, but because it was rumored that his plaque would be sculpted with his hat on backwards. He'd always worn it like that, not as any kind of statement, but because he was always wearing his dad's Reds hat as a little kid and it kept falling in his face unless he turned it around. The public image of Jr. was one of a guy who, on top of being astounding at baseball, had more fun than anyone. Always laughing, starring in funny commercials, pulling increasingly ingenious and elaborate pranks on his teammates. The story of the real Ken Griffey Jr. was incompatible with what we saw. The Mariners made Jr. 1987's #1 overall draft pick, signing him right out of high school. He became a celebrity very quickly, tearing through the minors and receiving a spring training invite with big leaguers in 1989. He played so well that manager Jim Lefebvre had no choice but to start him at center field on opening day. "He's shown us he can do everything," Lefebvre said. "There isn't one thing he can't do." Others agreed. In their 1989 set, the brand new Upper Deck Baseball Card Company reserved their #1 slot, traditionally reserved for a superstar, for a 19-year-old who had yet to appear in a single Major League Baseball game. He didn't let him down. Wins above replacement is a metric that attempts to estimate a player's overall value to his team in terms of wins. Junior's mark in '89 was just over 3, the best baseball had seen from a teenage position player in over 60 years. His season could have been even better had he not missed a month of action after slipping and falling in the shower. Junior was already becoming the first great Seattle Mariner. The first era, the era of forgotten bums piecing together losing season after losing season in a far-flung corner of the country, was over, and Junior ended it. Most have no idea of what he went through. At age 17, he was shipped off from his Cincinnati home to play minor league ball in Bellingham, Washington. He literally could not have been sent any further from home. Ken Sr., a 3-time All-Star, knew what it was to be a baseball star, but his son's journey was something else entirely. Junior was saddled with massive expectations before his 18th birthday. The pressure, coupled with the loneliness of being so far from home, weighed on him enormously. He struggled with depression, and years later he would disclose that he once made an attempt on his own life in this time. But that time, and every time, Senior was there, helping him navigate an experience that no one can truly be ready for. What was once a combative relationship between the two faded as Senior came to recognize the burden his son was carrying. Sometimes, he said, the only privacy he gets is out in center field. Here's Junior during a game in 1990, chasing down an outfield fly. His dad is in the building, looking on. When Junior pulls a classic Junior move and steals the catch from the left fielder, all Senior can do is laugh. There he is. The 40-year-old Griffey was teammates with his 20-year-old son. Not only that, the two were neighbors in the outfield and batted right next to each other in the lineup. In one of baseball's best-known pieces of trivia, they became the first father-son duo to hit back-to-back home runs. Sure, acquiring Senior in the first place was probably a publicity stunt, but you're gonna hear these words from me quite often. Who cares? In '92, thanks to unreliable pitching, they followed up their first ever winning season by dipping far into the red, seemingly undoing years of positive momentum. They had now finished dead last in the standings for the 6th time in their 16-year history. For reasons we'll eventually get into, this wasn't such a bad thing. Meet Jay Buhner. In one of the great heists of the 1980s, the Mariners had fleeced the dreaded Yankees out of the power-hitting right fielder, giving up only Greg Phelps in return. Okay, so here's my chance to solve a decades-old mystery for people who watched Seinfeld but didn't watch baseball. Remember the episode where Frank Costanza starts yelling at George Steinbrenner out of nowhere about some guy named Jay Buhner?
What the hell did you trade Jay Buhner for? You don't know what the hell you're doing!
And Steinbrenner goes on instead about some guy named Ken Phelps.
My baseball people love Ken Phelps bat. They kept saying, Ken Phelps, Ken Phelps.
Well, this is what Frank was so mad about. Unlike Griffey, Buhner is not a 5-tool player. He doesn't steal bases, hit for average, or field all that well. He is, however, a master practitioner of blurping. Blurping is a term Buhner himself came up with, and it refers to the act of vomiting on cue for the purpose of eliciting pukes from nearby sympathy vomiters. Why? These are the Seattle Mariners. We'll never be able to answer why questions. When, what, who? Sure, we can help you with those questions. But not why. Buhner demonstrated his true mastery of the craft during a game in 1992. In right field, Buhner executed a blurp, spilling his lunch on the turf. It must have been a remarkable performance because when left fielder Kevin Mitchell watched from about 200 feet away, he became queasy and began puking as well. Finally, Griffey Jr. looked over from center field. He couldn't hold it in and began to vomit. The entire Seattle Mariners outfield was vomiting at the same time. Jay Buhner had just executed the triple blurp in the middle of a baseball game.
By the time 1993 rolled around, Griffey's game reached new heights, and at age 23 was making history to be as great as he was, as young as he was. On July 25th, after homering in each of the previous 5 nights, this shot off Jose Mesa made him the youngest player to ever go deep in 6 consecutive games. Then he did it again in the game after that. Then he did it again in the game after that.
First pitch from back to Swagger. There it goes! See you later! Upper deck! Griffey has tied the Major League record! Holy cow, the kid has done it!
Tying the all-time record at 8 straight that to this day has only been done by 2 other players regardless of age. When the dust settled on that season, he'd topped a batting average of 300 to go along with 45 homers. It all led to the most total bases by a 23-year-old since Hank Aaron back in 1957. At that point, Griffey's career totals included 132 homers, 1,428 total bases, and 453 RBI. That was the most career dingers anyone his age had hit since Frank Robinson. Only Mel Ott, over 60 years prior, had accumulated that many total bases, while a player so young hadn't driven in over 450 runs since Ted Williams prior to departing MLB to fight in World War II. Combined with his 4th straight Gold Glove, if it wasn't clear before, 1993 removed any and all doubt that we were witnessing a once-in-a-generation talent blossoming before our very eyes.
Just like the 1981 season, 1994 was shortened by a labor dispute. And just like 81, 94 was monumentally weird for the Mariners. One of the most sought-after records was the single-season home run mark of 61, set by Roger Maris in 1961. In the 3+ decades to follow, only 3 guys, 1965 Willie Mays, 1977 George Foster, and 1990 Cecil Fielder, came within even 10 of that number, and those guys lost pace with them before the season was even half over. But in 1994, Griffey, who we see here in green, helped to lead an armada of players in pursuit of Maris and his record. Matt Williams, Jeff Bagwell, Frank Thomas, Barry Bonds, and Albert Bell were bum-rushing the history books. But it felt like Junior, who of course was capable of going on home run tears without warning, had the best shot. The strike wiped out the season in August, and ever since we've been left to wonder what would have happened. I'm left in a state of personal conflict here. On one hand, collective action is good and labor strikes are cool. On the other hand, I was looking forward to seeing where the squiggly lines were going to go on my computer screen. The strike also denied us a chance to witness some history that was headed in the opposite direction. Over the years, there had been 7 teams in the AL West. With that much competition, the Mariners had no chance of contending. But in '94, the American League was realigned. There were now only 4 teams. And as luck would have it, all 4 were garbage. The strike mercifully abbreviated what probably would have ended up as the worst division in baseball history. At the end of it, the Rangers were leading the West with a 52-62 record. The Mariners, despite being as bad as ever, were only a couple games out. It was the closest they'd ever come to first at the end of a season. And if everyone else getting worse is what it took to get the Mariners into contention, so be it. Forget their win-loss record, though. Who cares? The Seattle Mariners seemed like the team of the future. They were wearing new uniforms now, with a redesigned logo and an electric blue jersey. In a time when domes were still cool, they played in the Kingdome, which sat in the shadow of the Cascades, and in the middle of a mysterious distant city whose cultural exports were computer stuff and Nirvana and the Space Needle. Around this time, I was growing up in places I found ordinary, because you always think the place you live in is ordinary. It was easy to assign a mystique to this faraway, futuristic paradise and the superhero who lived there. After some early 90s rumblings of a potential move to Florida, the anxiety of keeping baseball in Seattle had vanished as well. In a turn of events that sounds made up by an 8-year-old, a majority stake in the Mariners was bought by Hiroshi Yamauchi, the president of Nintendo. Yamauchi was a billionaire who had never been to a baseball game, didn't know who Ken Griffey Jr. was, and seemed to be more interested in expanding Nintendo of America's footprint than actually turning a profit. He wasn't prepared for how happy the Mariners actually made people. As he put it, it was as though the money he spent was alive. Throughout its history, Seattle baseball was regularly in trouble, and its only victory was in simply being allowed to exist. Now they had real identity. They had their superstar. They were the coolest team in baseball. Somehow, things had come together. It was the perfect time for things to fall apart. While the team was warming up on July 19th, 4 of the Kingdome's ceiling tiles fell and collapsed into the seats. Nobody was hurt, but Mariners games were immediately relocated to other venues, and the players' strike ensured that there would be no more Mariners home games throughout the rest of the season. The team's ownership group leveraged this to demand public money for a new stadium to replace the Kingdome, which wasn't yet 20 years old. If they didn't get this funding, they would sell the team, likely to someone who would move them out of town. There was no way this was happening again. Not now. Not the minute Seattle baseball finally found relevance after all these decades. It wasn't fair. In a different, more normal world, a baseball team would build a baseball stadium and play there, and that would be that. It's as though Seattle baseball has to perpetually fight simply to exist. As though it's running afoul of the order of the universe. It's determined that a special election will be held in September of 1995. The public will, in effect, decide whether an increase in sales tax is worth keeping the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners themselves, who have never reached the playoffs or even finished better than third in their division, have no choice but to convince the public by making their case on the field. They'll be led by Lou Piniella, now 3 years into his decade-long career as the Mariners manager, and beloved by players and fans alike. Piniella had been Ken Griffey Jr.'s teammate in New York, and when he became manager of the Yankees, Sr. was traded away. A couple years later, Sr. was playing for the Reds, who hired Piniella to be his manager again, and under Pinella's watch, Sr. was traded away again. Regardless, Sr. always liked Piniella, and so did Jr. No one in recent memory can throw a more theatrical temper tantrum than Lou. He'll deliver his magnum opus in Cleveland a few years from now, in which he enters a sort of fugue state and doesn't even remember everything he said or did. After arguing a call and getting thrown out of the game, he indignantly throws his hat into the infield. He spends another moment in the umpire's face, then spins around and kicks his hat. He kicks again, more angrily this time, and just about misses his hat entirely. Lou switches course after this, punting the hat into shallow center and jawing with the umps some more. He stomps over, bends down, and flips the hat back in the infield, and squares up for a kick this time, punting it further. 5 kicks, 6 kicks, 7, until he navigates back into the dirt. Finally, he picks up his cap and makes his exit, but not before he throws it into the crowd with one final flourish. A hopeful Cleveland fan throws it back at him, which Lou seemed to appreciate after the game. Point being, Lou Piniella is the appropriate man to lead this team. The Mariners start the season 14-12. The evening of May 26th, the Orioles' Kevin Bass smacks one deep into right center. It's the 7th inning of a regular season baseball game in May. Griffey doesn't have to do what he's about to do, but Ken Griffey Jr. can only be great. He has no other choice. He sprints about 20 miles, takes off, throws himself at the wall, makes one of the most iconic catches of the 1990s, and hits the ground 10 feet away from his hat. It's estimated that the Mariners, who haven't done much of anything in 6 seasons with their superstar, will be without him for 3 months. Meanwhile, the Mariners and the California Angels are fighting for the division lead. While the Mariners spend June trading wins and losses at an even rate, the Angels are positioning themselves for a run, which they finally begin in mid-July. In this span, they go a remarkable 17-3, and even those 3 losses were squeakers. One was a 1-run loss, one an extra innings loss, and one a walk-off. Those 17 wins? More than half came by at least 5 runs. The Angels are clobbering the American League. In fact, up to this point in the season, they have far and away the best run differential in all of baseball. The Mariners all the way down here at +3, almost the definition of mediocre. Throughout the Angels' streak, they've gone nowhere and are now 13 games out of the lead. Time is running out. Griffey actually returns to the field a few games ahead of schedule, but nothing much changes. California is holding steady as a rock at about 25 games over 500, and Seattle is just lying there like a beached whale. This is all they'd ever done. Even now, with the public vote less than a month away and the people of Seattle to impress, the Mariners had failed to present any other version of themselves. It seemed as though they had no other version of themselves. Across their entire 19-year history, they've experienced one day at 10 games over 500. Approximately 24 hours in August of 1991. That's it. Suppose they somehow rally in this very short window and get there again. Great. They're less than halfway there. This is a team with no meaningful past to speak of, and, in all likelihood, no future. There is only the present. There is nothing to do but march. Whoa! Something terrible has happened to the California Angels. They're getting ejected. They're fighting with each other. In general, they're starting to lose it. And it's easy to understand why. Losing 9 games in a row while holding the division lead is horrifying enough. But this one is like no other. Over these 9 games, they've been outscored by 48 runs, or just over 5 per game. They've gotten absolutely thumped. Now, it's true that up to this point, there have been 36 9-game streaks in baseball history that were this bad. But look at who they happened to. Almost all of these teams were way under 500. They were already totally cooked by the time the losing streak began. And in fact, a good number of these streaks belong to some of the worst teams in the history of the game. The only team anywhere near the 95 Angels is the 1957 Redlegs, who were 61-49, but they were in 4th place, and a postseason appearance was pretty unlikely for them. These Angels were in 1st place by a huge margin. They were cruising. In what feels at first like too little too late, the Mariners finally smell blood in the water. When they wake up on the morning of September 19th, they're suddenly only 2 games behind. It's their big day. That evening, they rally from a 4-1 deficit to take the Rangers into extra innings. In the bottom of the 11th, Griffey finds himself down to his final strike. What's important to know about Jr. is that he's far more than just a power hitter. Most pitches aren't home run opportunities, but many, including some well outside the strike zone, are a chance to slap one through. And with a man on second, that is all the Mariners need.
Here it comes, and it's swung on and lined off the glove of the third baseman Ortiz. Here comes Strange. The Mariners win it.
Down south, the Angels lose again. Then, they watch the news and wait. With most of the ballots counted, the measure to fund a new Mariners stadium, thereby keeping them in Seattle, currently leads by a thin margin. But these are just the voters who showed up today. Around 45,000 absentee ballots are still out there, and they were cast some time ago by voters who hadn't yet seen the lunacy that's currently unfolding. These voters have been watching these Mariners, the Miracle Mariners. The votes yet to be counted are from people who know nothing but these Mariners. The counting continues. The next day, it's announced that with close to 500,000 votes counted, the lead has shrunk to 300. There are still 15,000 votes yet to be counted. That night, the Mariners come from behind again to knock off the A's 10-7. Down in Texas, the Angels answer with another loss. This happens again and again. The Seattle Mariners are now leading the American League West. If they hold on, they're headed to the playoffs for the first time in their history. It all happened so quickly, it's disorienting. The Angels cheated fate by dropping 9 in a row down the home stretch and keeping a comfortable lead, but then, after briefly gathering themselves, they dropped 9 in a row again. Losing streaks of this size are extraordinarily rare in baseball. Since the Angels were founded 35 years ago, they've only suffered a handful, and typically during seasons in which they were way out of the playoff race and didn't have much to play for. Now, at the worst possible time, they've suffered 2 in the space of a month. No new results from King County votes since the 21st. It's time to meet 2 more heroes. First, Tino Martinez, just another of the Mariners' seemingly endless supply of power hitters. His career will be defined by memorable clutch home runs, although many of them come after he leaves Seattle. And then, there's Dave Niehaus.
I have zero emotional investment in the Mariners, but the way their longtime broadcaster Dave Niehaus would call big moments still made my goosebumps get goosebumps. And whether it was his trademark phrases like breaking out the rye bread and mustard for a grand salami, or just his overall infectious enthusiasm that made a random Tuesday night in August feel like Game 7 of the World Series, he simply had a unique way to connect with fans and bring the game to life. Tragically, Niehaus was taken from us far too soon, shortly following the 2010 season, leaving a void that's truly impossible to fill. For so long, through years and years of misery, the one thing Mariner fans could take solace in was knowing they'd be treated to Niehaus's pure brilliance for 3 hours, night after night, starting with their first pitch in 1977 and continuing for 34 years and nearly 5,300 games thereafter.
It's a wild, back-and-forth game between the Mariners and Athletics. Down by a run in the bottom of the ninth, Tino Martinez steps in with a man on first. Listen closely here as Dave Niehaus's voice momentarily fades out before returning closer to the mic.
Here comes the pitch to Tino. Swung on and belted deep to right field. And that will be flying away. And the Mariners win it.
He was probably spinning in his chair.
I asked in part 1 why anyone would want to watch the Mariners in those atrocious early days. Well, there's your reason. Regardless of the quality or lack thereof of the product put forth on the field, Niehaus always provided an A++ broadcast.
Bad news comes on the 26th. The measure has, for the time being, lost the lead, but it's still alive. There are still about 3,000 ballots yet to be counted. After weeks of sniping at one another from different parts of the country, the Angels finally have to drag their sorry asses up to Seattle and meet their conquerors in person. They get thumped 10-2 thanks to homers from Griffey and Jay Buhner. It's their 7th consecutive win, and the Mariners now lead the West by 3 games with just 6 to play. The next day, it becomes clear. The vote has failed. The Mariners lose to the Angels that afternoon, win their next 2 games against the Rangers, and end up splitting the series in Texas after getting thumped 9-2 and 9-3. They left exactly enough room for the Angels to catch up to them, and the Angels did. Their 144-game schedule ends in a tie. It necessitates something Major League Baseball hasn't seen in 15 years, a special 1-game tiebreaker between the Mariners and Angels to decide who goes to the playoffs. What comes next for the Mariners and where they end up playing next year, no one can really say. But if nothing else, this much is guaranteed. The Seattle Mariners will play one more baseball game. The final game of an absurd season will turn out to be its most absurd. For one, the timing is odd. This is without question the most important game the Mariners have ever played, and yet the first pitch is at 1 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. Well, at least it was the biggest story of that Monday afternoon, right? No, it wasn't. It's time to meet Randy Johnson. Who, at 6'10", became the tallest player in the history of Major League Baseball when he entered the bigs in 1988. Everyone thought he had greatness in him. It showed up in flashes, most notably in 1990, when he threw the first no-hitter in Mariners history. But he led the league in walks 3 years in a row, and his ERA hung around 4, placing him around the middle of the pack. And then, Nolan Ryan came to town. Before a Mariners-Rangers game in 1992, Johnson ran into the future Hall of Famer and confessed that something in his mechanics wasn't working. Ryan said, "Hey, try landing on the front of your foot instead of your heel." Randy listened. And just like that, his numbers drastically improved, and he was well on his way to becoming one of the most accomplished pitchers baseball has ever seen. He was also among the most intimidating. He had a 102-mile-per-hour fastball, but his most devastating pitch was a 90-mile-per-hour slider that had so much on it that it looked like a fastball. It was almost unfair. It was called Mr. Snappy.
So with the future of the organization hanging in the balance, Seattle skipper Lou Piniella had the ultimate ace up his sleeve, as he was able to give the ball to Johnson on short rest. And it's completely clear why that seemingly risky move wasn't so risky, but was in fact the obvious call. The big unit wasn't just the team's top pitcher, but he was the very best in the entire American League by miles. In terms of both OPS allowed and ERA, no one was close to him. He notched at least 12 strikeouts in 9 games, existing on his own stratosphere relative to the rest of the league on his way to fanning nearly 300 batters despite an abbreviated MLB season. So while Seattle had the runaway Cy Young winner on the hill, the Angels ace was out of commish, with all-star Chuck Finley having tossed over 100 pitches the prior afternoon to get him to this game. That meant the Angels' hopes rested on longtime Mariner Mark Langston, who Seattle had traded to Montreal in the deal that landed him Johnson. The Mariners were oozing confidence in a game that they got to host based on the flip of a coin. Piniella saw a win as a foregone conclusion. So did left fielder Vince Coleman. And Randy was indeed an untouchable force of nature for the first 6 innings of this one, retiring each of the Angels' first 17 batters before his bid for perfection was broken up by his ex-roommate of all people. Langston was pretty good too, allowing just 1 run through 6. But then, things got away from him in the 7th. The Mariners loaded up the bases with former Angel Luis Sojo at the dish, who then punched a grounder to the right that probably should have been an ending-ending 3-1 putout, but that instead, first baseman JT Snow flubbed. Snow could only watch as the ball blooped into foul territory and underneath the Angels' bullpen bench. By the time right fielder Tim Salmon dug it up, 2 Mariners had scored. An unfortunate set of circumstances turned disastrous when Langston's throwing error allowed for the ultimate embarrassment. 4 runs scoring on a ball that touched an infielder's glove for what has to be the first and only time in the history of organized baseball. Thanks to the fielding work of 2 Angels that would each win Gold Gloves that season. That is baseball for you. With the game now blown wide open, the M's could just sit back and ride Johnson to the AL West title.
Well, now the Seattle Mariners are guaranteed to exist for at least a few more days, as they move on to make their first ever playoff appearance in the 1995 ALDS. And if this were a work of fiction, this is exactly the way we would write it. Management has made it clear that if there's no stadium deal by the end of the month, they're selling, which virtually guarantees moving. Washington Governor Mike Lowry begins to arrange a last-ditch effort to fund a new park, but as it stands, it's kind of a long shot. For one, politicians are generally hesitant to counteract a public vote. For another, we're less than 1 year removed from the Republican Revolution of 1994. Washington State served as ground zero, as the spending-averse GOP saw more House victories here than in anywhere else in the country. The on-field performance of the Mariners seems to be the only variable left. If they squeak into the playoffs only to be immediately snuffed out, is that enough to move the needle? Probably not. This team, which had never seriously contended in their entire history until about a month ago, has to win something. 5 games, first to 3 takes it. And again, this could not have been written any better. To this point in history, the New York Yankees had been to the World Series 33 times and won 22 of them. They were everything the Mariners were not. The Yankees played in a storied stadium that lasted nearly a century. The Mariners played in a concrete dome built on the cheap that started falling apart in 20 years' time. The Yankees were a mainstay of American culture. The Mariners had to fight for the privilege of existing. The Yankees got married to Marilyn Monroe and hung out with the Rat Pack. Mariners made toilet Jello and threw up because it was funny. In recent times, the Yankees had emerged like locusts, surfacing to contend every 10 or 15 years. In '94, the strike may have been the only thing keeping them from another World Series, as they had the best record in the American League. They decided that, once again, it was their time. The Yankees were an archenemy to many, but few, if any, shared the animosity held by Ken Griffey Jr. The 1983 incident wasn't a simple clubhouse misunderstanding. The Griffey family had been disrespected, and for Jr., a family man who famously preferred spending time with his wife and kids to living the celebrity lifestyle, it was not a forgettable offense. In Ken Sr.'s autobiography, Big Red, he wrote that Jr. carried this grudge against the Yankees throughout his entire career, adding that he played his best games against them. He was right. In fact, despite all the premier pitching the Yankees threw at Jr. over the years, he hit better against them than any other team. 7 years into his career, baseball's biggest superstar is finally in the playoffs. Here is his opportunity to save the future of his team and exact revenge on another.
Jr. and the Mariners entered the first ever ALDS game fighting an uphill battle. For starters, after punching their playoff ticket with that win over the Angels, they didn't get into New York, their third time zone in 3 days, until after 4 in the morning. On top of that, they were without the services of their superstar ace at the beginning of the series, thanks to Johnson's heroics the day before to even get him here. But Buck Showalter's Yankees had the luxury of being able to send their top pitcher to the mound on full rest, mid-season trade acquisition and reigning AL Cy Young winner David Cone. Cone's been red hot, having allowed just 4 runs across his final 25 innings of the regular season, and he got an early lead with a 2-run Wade Boggs homer. But, as John mentioned, having a star pitcher on the mound didn't matter when it came to Griffey. No matter how good any pitcher was, if he was wearing the pinstripes, Jr. was going to dole out the punishment. And sure enough, to lead off the next inning, he cut the deficit in half with a single gorgeous swing of the bat, sending a Cone split finger to the upper deck. Later on, trailing by 2 with a man on, Griffey again took a Cone splitter deep to right that tied the score at 4.
He has done it again. Goodbye, home run.
But alas, the Yanks pulled away with a late inning onslaught against M's reliever Bobby Ayala and took Game 1 by a score of 9-6. For Game 2, Piniella gave the ball to Andy Benes in an all-Andy pitching duel against 23-year-old Yankee rookie Andy Pettitte, making the first start of his MLB record 44 career postseason starts. And they took a third-inning lead when left fielder Vince Coleman, a man who was an all-time great when it came to swiping bases, but had come into this game with just 27 homers through his first 11 big league regular seasons, sent a 3-2 fastball soaring the opposite way that New York right fielder Paul O'Neill could only watch sail over the fence to give Seattle the early lead. They trailed for the first time when Ruben Sierra and Don Mattingly led off the bottom of the 6th inning with back-to-back dingers. And even though they retook the lead on a 7th inning Griffey sac fly, O'Neill hit a blast of his own to tie it back up, necessitating extra innings to decide this one. And a couple minutes after Wednesday became Thursday, that sure appeared to be the Mariners when Griffey, facing New York closer John Wetland, against whom Jr.'s 6 weeks removed from hitting a walk-off homer, launched this 12th inning fastball into the night.
He drills it deep to right field towards the gap, 385, my goodbye! Home run, he has
Griffey had put Seattle on the brink of tying the series at a game apiece, further validating the enormous praise lobbed his way by Mr. October himself, Reggie Jackson. But in the Yankees' last chance at the dish, Wade Boggs drew a walk to reach base before Jorge Posada pinch ran for him. It was Posada's maiden voyage on an MLB base path, and he was representing the tying run in extra innings of a playoff game. Pinella summoned starting pitcher Tim Belcher out of the pen, who promptly allowed a 2-out Ruben Sierra double that brought Posada home to stay alive. After failing to score in the next 3 innings against Mariano Rivera, Belcher capped what had now broken the 24-hour-old record for longest playoff game in MLB history by allowing a 15th inning walk-off homer to Yankee catcher Jim Leyritz.
It could be! Back in the wall! Goodbye! Home run! The Yankees win!
Giving the Yankees a commanding 2-0 series lead and compelling the M's to win 3 in a row as the series shifted to the Kingdome.
The morning of Game 3, an update from Governor Lowry hits the papers, and it's not good. Negotiations still aren't going anywhere. Republicans are maintaining a hard line, no taxes for a new park. And if the Mariners get unceremoniously swept out of the playoffs, well, that line is probably all the easier to hold. Baseball isn't like other sports. One player can't carry his team to greatness. The greatest hitter can bat every 9 times, and that's it. It's why, in Junior's first few great seasons, the Mariners were mediocre at best. It's why, in his historically great 93 and 94 seasons, you could look at their win-loss record and never even know he was there. And it's why Game 3, on October 6th, 1995, could very well be the last game the Seattle Mariners ever play.
Coming off 2 games in the Bronx with a rabid Yankee fan base that was constantly throwing garbage on the field and hurling objects at Mariner players, Seattle was very much looking forward to returning to the Kingdome. And at least in Game 3, with their backs completely against the wall in their first ever home playoff game, they got to climb on the giant shoulders of Randy Johnson, who in '95 we know was seemingly indestructible, untouchable, and automatic all year. For the first 3 no-hit innings, it was more of the same. Until Bernie Williams' crushing homer in the 4th put the Yanks up, even with the M's deity on the mound. It looked even more grim with Johnson's New York counterpart, another recent AL Cy Young winner in Jack McDowell, in an absolute groove, having faced the minimum 12 batters through 4 innings. However, that mistake to Williams was Johnson's only real blip, with Seattle taking the lead back on a 2-run bomb in the 5th off the bat of Tino Martinez, and a monster 6th inning returned the baseball world to the normalcy of being able to ride a brilliant gem from the big unit when they needed it the very most to a huge win. For the second time that week, the entire season, and maybe the entire existence of the franchise, came down to Randy Johnson's left arm on 3 days rest. For the second time that week, even without his best stuff, Randy Johnson delivered. Season still alive. But to keep the plug from being pulled, Seattle would have to win another 2 games, starting mere mortals at pitcher. And Game 4 starter Chris Bois wasted 0 time showing just how mortal he was. 3 batters into the game, 3 Yankees were aboard. They all eventually scored, putting the Mariners way behind the 8 ball just minutes in. Another O'Neill homer a couple innings later buried the Mariners into a dreadful 5-run hole. Hope was just about gone. And it may well have been completely gone if not for the presence of one Edgar Martinez. Their third baseman turned designated hitter, who was coming off a couple injury-plagued seasons, but in 1995 stayed healthy and had been MLB's top batter, even though he was widely underappreciated.
Outside of Seattle, Edgar never got the enormous amount of credit he deserved, largely because he spent most of his career as a designated hitter. Well, this is the guy we were ignoring. If you want to know how good a hitter is and you only want to look at one number, OPS, or on-base plus slugging, is the number for you. In '95, Edgar's OPS surpassed 1,100, a mark that even the best hitters rarely approach in a full season. Up here is a jumble of seasons owned by the likes of Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Mickey Mantle. In '94, 3 guys reached the mark, but because of the strike, they only had to maintain the number for 2/3 of a normal season. Edgar's up here playing damn near a full season. From the early '60s up until this season, his only neighbor is Barry Bonds. The arc of Edgar's career is as fascinating as its apex. It was the precise opposite of Griffey's. Ironically, when scouts came to watch Edgar in Puerto Rico, they liked his fielding, but they saw him as a weak hitter without much potential. At age 20, Jr. was already an all-star with 2 seasons under his belt. At the same age, Edgar was working days at a furniture store, then working nights at a factory. As a last-ditch effort, he dragged himself to a Mariners tryout after a grueling night shift, played on fumes, and somehow managed to show enough flash to earn an offer from the team. He didn't even play his first major league game until age 24, and didn't play his first full season until age 27, at which age Griffey had already played so much great baseball that he could have retired on the spot and still probably made the Hall of Fame. Edgar was 32 now, and his OPS of 1.109, across his entire career, Jr. never did that. It's impossible to overstate just how great this guy was.
And when the next opportunity to hit for Seattle rolled around, they got 2 men on before Edgar strolled to the plate. It was time for this superhero to put on his cape and bring the Kingdome to life with a towering 3-run shot.
Deep to left field, Edgar Martinez, deep! Put it up!
That cut the deficit to 2. They eventually took a 6-5 lead behind and forgive me if I'm starting to sound like a broken record, Ken Griffey Jr. home run.
Hit high and deep! Griffey's got it!
In the roller coaster that is Mariner baseball, they allowed the Yanks to pull even heading into the bottom of the 8th, with Edgar due up 4th. The first 3 all reached base, which is a pretty good way to tee up the AL batting champ. A meatball was served right down the middle of the plate by poor John Wetland, and if you make a mistake like that to Martinez, he'll rip your heart out with the grandest of
Bernie
slams.
Williams goes back and it is! Get out the rye bread and the mustard this time, Grandma! It is a grand salami!
To not only become the first player to ever drive in 7 runs in a playoff game, but also bust the game wide open. Almost not wide open enough though, as Bernie Williams nearly hit a miraculous game-tying homer when the Yankees were down to their last out, only to settle harmlessly into Junior's glove. Outside of a compound ankle fracture suffered by their Mariner Moose mascot, it was a magical evening. Against all odds, the Mariners had tied the series at 2 games apiece to force a winner-take-all Game 5 the following evening. The eyes of the entire country descended upon the Kingdome for this one, the first day with but a single nationally televised game since Joe Carter's World Series winning walk-off about 23 and a half months earlier. Unlike Seattle, New York got to rely on their ace for the do-or-die affair, though even he knew no answers existed for Edgar. The first couple innings were scoreless, thanks in large part due to the bottom half of the second frame when Seattle had a runner in scoring position with none out, then 2 in scoring position with just 1 out, only for David Cone to escape the jam by striking out the side. But then in the third, just like Vince Coleman's remarkably unlikely homer in Game 2, 30-year-old Mariner second baseman Joey Cora opened the scoring by going deep for just the 8th time in more than 2,000 career at-bats. O'Neill answered the next inning to put the Yankees on top. With the M's trailing by 2 in the bottom of the 6th, a leadoff double by Edgar again gave Seattle a runner in scoring position with none out, and again Cone struck out the side to neutralize the threat. More deja vu for Junior's next time at the plate in the 8th, when his 3rd homer of the series off Cone was also his 5th overall, matching Reggie Jackson's record for the most in any postseason series and pulling the Mariners within 1. As the inning drew on, a completely gassed Cone lost any semblance of control as his pitch count approached 150. He issued a couple walks to help load the bases before yet another freebie to pinch hitter Doug Strange capped Seattle's 2-out rally and tied the game heading into the 9th, where the party was just getting started. The Yankees were on the verge of dealing a death blow when they got 2 on with none out and the top of the order due up against Mariner reliever Norm Charlton. In other words, desperation time. And we all know who's risen to the occasion time and time again when it's desperation o'clock. Less than 48 hours removed from throwing nearly 120 pitches, with over 240 across the previous 6 days, for a very limited appearance, Johnson was somehow available out of the pen. His legend grew when he sat down the heart of the Yankee lineup in order, getting the M's out of that bleak situation unscathed. The bottom half of the 9th was the Mariners' turn to reach the doorstep of victory, knocking Mariano Rivera on the ropes with the series-winning run in scoring position and just 1 out. New York responded by calling on McDowell for his first career relief appearance, and he likewise rose to the challenge to keep the game tied as the Game 3 starters were now dueling in extras to decide the 5th game for all the marbles. And they stayed dueling, with Johnson pitching another inning and striking out the side in a Herculean effort that left every ounce of everything he had on the field. The 10th inning turned into the 11th inning, and what was initially supposed to be a break glass in case of emergency situation to get an out, maybe 2, had now turned into a 3rd inning on the mound. And finally, at this point, the effects of his monstrous workload started to cause some cracks, with this Randy Velarde go-ahead RBI single a brutal punch to the gut, sending the Mariners into the bottom of the 11th, 3 outs away from utter heartbreak and devastation. Joey Cora was set to lead off, and at that point, he'd attempted 36 career bunts with the bases empty. 15 of them resulted in a hit, including one the day before. Now make it 16 out of 37. Tying run aboard. Griffey continued his torrid stretch by singling him over to 3rd. Tying run 90 feet away, ALDS winning run aboard. Into the batter's box stepped Edgar Martinez.
A dozen years ago, when he was working the night shift at a General Electric factory in San Juan, Edgar never could have imagined himself in this moment. He doesn't even need a hit to tie the game. With the speedy Cora at 3rd, any outfield fly should do just fine. And even with 1 out, they still have Junior on base. For Ken Griffey Jr. to score the run that ends the New York Yankees season, well, that's the type of moment he's been waiting on for 12 years. And the opportunity to call a moment of this magnitude is something Dave Niehaus has waited for since the very beginning, nearly 20 years ago. This moment belongs to these three men.
They would love a base hit into the gap, and they could win it with Junior's speed this stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. Swung on and lined down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it. It just continues. My, oh my. Edgar Martinez with a double. Ripped down the left field line, and they are going crazy at the Kingdome.
It's so beautifully, obnoxiously fake. The superstar slides into home to beat the bad guy. Fireworks are lit off indoors above a nylon field. The team just played for its life and won. There are two mobs here. One swarms around Edgar, who will spend his entire career in Seattle. This is the hit that will one day push him over the top and get him into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and it's popular to consider it as the hit that saved baseball in Seattle. As overdramatic as that might sound, it's probably accurate. In the aftermath, opposing politicians lamented that the public's excitement for the team was putting them over a barrel. A couple weeks later, funds for the stadium were delivered. Edgar's double into left field is likely the reason the Seattle Mariners are here today. Somewhere in the other pile of bodies is Junior, who did it with his legs this time, flying in all the way from first base. Almost no other power hitter of his era would have been able to leg that one out. When he did, he exacted revenge on a team that he'd resented since he was 13 years old, and he helped to save the future of his own team. Junior is barely visible within this tumbleweed of Mariners. On the ABC broadcast, he emerges for just a handful of frames. The images will always remember him for, yelling like an idiot in pure disbelief that he's slain two dragons at once. This is a moment that belongs to another world, one where cycles close and stories end, where there are heroes and the heroes win. A moment like this has no business in our world. After taking down the Yankees, the Mariners ultimately fell to the Indians in the 1995 ALCS, 4-2, but, as always, who cares? We'll stop just long enough to note Junior's weird feud with Cleveland pitcher Dennis Martinez, in which the two were constantly pausing play out of nowhere to throw one another off. When Seattle was sent home after a brutal shutout loss in Game 6, Griffey was crushed, but he still found it in him to pay a visit to his opponent's locker room and congratulate Martinez. No one ever does that. Ultimately, the Mariners got what they came for. A senseless season, one in which 1,000 different things went exactly right, permanently settled the existential threat that had plagued Seattle baseball throughout its history. Now, the team of the future was graduating into the team of the present. Now that stadium funding was coming in, Mariners fans' remaining source of anxiety was the threat of Griffey leaving in free agency. For years, he'd spoken idly about someday heading for Cincinnati, where his father played for so many years, and the Reds had been talking to his agent for weeks. But ultimately, Griffey decided to sign a 4-year deal to stay in Seattle, and, unbelievably, his best years were still ahead of him. In 1996, Ken Griffey Jr. ran for President of the United States as part of a promotional stunt with Nike. What started as a goof quickly got a lot less fun for Griffey, who was suddenly fielding political questions from beat reporters. Though he would later become perhaps the first superstar athlete to say he would gladly play alongside a gay teammate, he found himself well out of his depth in the political arena. Jr. definitely had a cranky side, and it was coming out. He hated the whole thing. The merits of his candidacy are for political historians to decide, but whatever the case, it ended in September. He found that life on the campaign trail was vicious and kept him from sleeping until noon and watching Ricky Lake, forever proving the axiom that someone who's obsessed with television can never be president. On the field, the Mariners' absolute embarrassment of talent was about to get even more embarrassing. You see, in this time, the MLB draft had a pretty strange format. In even-numbered years, the worst National League team got the number 1 pick, and in odd-numbered years, it went to the worst American League team. When the Mariners finished 67-95 in 1986, it wasn't the very worst record in baseball, but it was the worst record in the AL. Lucky for them, the following draft was in an odd-numbered year, allowing them, of course, to spend the top overall pick on Junior. Now, remember that 92 season when they kinda crashed and burned out of nowhere following a couple years of positive momentum? Well, here they go again. Once again, the number 1 pick was waiting for him in the following odd-numbered year. Last time, they rolled the dice on a 17-year-old, and it worked out pretty well for him. So, they did it again. If you're not a baseball person, you know Alex Rodriguez as Jello's husband and the guy you've seen on 37,000 different CNBC shows on mute in an airport bookstore. Let's catch up on all the weird giggles you've been missing. Here he is on Closing Bell Access.
Well, thank you.
Here he is on something called Squawk Alley.
Yeah, just together, right?
And here he is on Squawk Box, which is different from Squawk Alley somehow, I think.
That's how we're going to try to get... I'm still mad about that, but you...
And here he is on Mad Money.
By the way, this fag I asked for before.
And here he is on CNBC Make It.
I'm exhausted.
God, he's such a herb. I love him. As a rookie, A-Rod was a perfect mark for a legendary prankster like Griffey. Griffey was once in the habit of betting manager Lou Piniella a steak dinner that he could hit home runs in batting practice. At some point in '95, Junior hit a cold stretch, losing bet after bet. He now owed Piniella an enormous amount of beef. One day, Piniella opened his office door and found his winnings. A live, 1,200-pound cow Junior had borrowed from a nearby farmer and smuggled in. Piniella wasn't as bothered by the cow as he was by the absolutely biblical dumps it had already taken on the floor. This stunt, though, was even funnier. When A-Rod was just 18, Griffey tried to convince him that all the stars on the team were plotting to monetize their genetics by selling their sperm, even bringing in a buddy to pretend he was a doctor. Junior asked him if he wanted in, and he ended the goof once it was clear that A-Rod was actually starting to believe him. But like Griffey, A-Rod is a far more interesting person than he's typically given credit for. In this pantheon of baseball gods, the legacy of A-Rod is by far the most complicated. Right now, though, the year is 1996. A-Rod is 20 years old, and his greatness is bewildering.
So let me start by saying this. Throughout the first 49 years of the integration era, a period starting in 1947, nary a single infielder had ever whacked 90 extra base hits in a season. Not even anyone that played the classic slugging position of first base. Then came year 50, and in A-Rod's very first full season as a big leaguer, he racked up 91. As a shortstop, in his age 20 season, which is the most stunning part of all, to be that good, that young, it goes without saying he broke all sorts of youth records. There are a million different things 96 A-Rod was the youngest player to ever do, but irrespective of what a neophyte he was, he still clobbered more baseballs than any other infielder of any age since Jimmy Fox 58 years earlier. Through the 2019 season, that remains the lone instance of a shortstop hitting 90. And in fact, let's even expand the scope a bit to all left side of infield players to even incorporate third baseman. Still atop the leaderboard. That brings me to Edgar Martinez. Staying on that extra base hit theme, Edgar kicked that season off, taking it to a whole nother level. Here are each of his first 311 at-bats of the 1996 season. That's a whole lot of baseballs given a good ride. 66 to be exact. Allow me to repeat myself. In 1996, Edgar Martinez recorded an extra base hit on 66 of his first 311 at-bats. And this was by the time the M's had played just 84 games, barely half the season. Historically, that stacks up pretty well. In the modern era, no one's even come all that close, with the 60 threshold remaining otherwise unreached. Combined with Griffey, who had a typical peak season, that gave the 96 Mariners 3 players who topped an OPS of 1,000, sorta cornering the AL market of those guys and becoming the first team with such a trio since the 1929 Cubs. Oh, and all their 4th best bat did was mash 44 dingers while driving in 138 runs. With an embarrassment of riches up and down their lineup, the 96 M's offense soared to near unprecedented heights in becoming the integration era's first squad to ever produce a team-wide OPS of 850. They also scored at least 5 runs in 107 games. If that sounds like a lot to you, you'd be right. They were the first team in 46 years to have even 100 such games, a feat that remains exceedingly rare in modern times. Add it all up, and they scored nearly 1,000 runs at a time when no one prior to that season had even reached 900 since the 1953 Dodgers. And yet, somehow, some way, this team found a way to miss the postseason. Sure, their pitching was lousy. Reigning Cy Young winner Randy Johnson missed 3 months in the middle of the season due to a bulging disc in his back, returned in August with 6 appearances out of the pen, then was shut down for the season. But that's still quite spectacular for that lineup to spend all of October on their couch, or like drinking coffee at grunge concerts. Maybe that would have been a bit more understandable in the pre-1969 days when the entire postseason was just the World Series, or even up through a few years prior when the postseason included an LCS and thus just 2 teams from each league made it. But this was year 2 of the implementation of the ALDS, thus producing 4 playoff teams per league. Somehow, it still didn't matter. Fantastic work, Ems.
How many years have we been trying to sell you on the idea that the Mariners are the future of baseball? This will be year 6, right? Come on, guys, don't make me look stupid. Thank you. These 4 first played together in '94, but the strike wiped that season out. Griffey was hurt for most of '95, Randy was hurt for most of '96, but in '97, all 4 stayed healthy for just about the entire season. A-Rod didn't quite set the world on fire like he did the year prior, but he did have a terrific season. Randy served up the best season of his career to that point, and almost won another Cy Young award. The rock-solid Edgar was one of the best hitters in baseball again. But it was Junior, the 1997 American League MVP, who found his zenith. 3 years after the strike ended his pursuit of Roger Maris's single-season home run record, he once again took a shot at the most obsessed-over record in American sports. He went yard in his first at-bat of the season.
2-2 pitch. Swung on and belted deep to right center field, and we are tied!
And did it again in his second at-bat.
Gets under this one. Does it have legs? Back to the wall is O'Neal.
Both were given up by the same David Cohn who gave up 3 dingers to Junior in the '95 ALDS. Buddy, I'm sorry. Near the end of April, Junior was on pace to hit upwards of 90 home runs. Everyone knew that would cool down, and it did, but even as his pace slowed, he was still on track to break the record halfway through the season. And then came an excruciating 25-game stretch in which he hit just 1 home run. Like most baseball slumps, it seemed to happen for no real reason. Griffey wasn't terribly bothered because the team was winning, and he suggested that sports writers were overly obsessed with stats and charts. I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Anyway, Junior ended up with 56 homers. While he did miss the mark by 5, he still produced one of the greatest power-hitting seasons of all time. Along with Mark McGwire, who finished with 58 over in the National League, Griffey accomplished something that no one but Maris had since the outbreak of World War II. I'd like to take a moment to appreciate the fact that these four were playing in their peak years on the same team at the same time. The argument could be made that all four of them were the best ever to play their respective position. Is it a winning argument? Maybe not, but bear with me for just a minute. First up, Junior. By his age 27 season, his wins above replacement stood at 59.2. Better than any other center fielder of that age aside from Mickey Mantle. There's a little bit of room to debate Griffey versus Mantle if you want to. For instance, you could try and argue that Griffey was a more well-rounded baseball player and point to his fielding ability. Chart these same guys by defensive WAR, and Junior is all the way at the top, with Mantle in pretty mediocre territory. Ultimately though, I think I have to concede that Junior, at this point in his career, is number 2. Now Edgar, whose case is much easier. The DH is a relatively new position, and one that players often don't occupy for the majority of their careers, so his competition is a lot thinner. Among those who spent at least 60% of their careers as a DH, the only player in the same universe as Edgar in terms of WAR is David Ortiz. Edgar is clearly the best pure DH ever. Randy is a lot more difficult to assess. Okay, so here's every pitcher ever with a WAR above 50. At 103.5, Randy places in FM radio territory. Puts him at 9th all time. I'm gonna ignore these guys from the dead ball era because while they were great relative to their peers on the mound at the time, they never had to face scary home run hitters. So that leaves us with Lefty Grove, Tom Seaver, Roger Clemens, and Greg Maddux, and Randy. This is extremely rickety logic because it means we're not even considering, say, Pedro Martinez or Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax, and it fails to account for any kind of quantity versus quality considerations. We can point out that he won 5 Cy Young Awards, more than anyone but Clemens, and he's number 2 in strikeouts, behind only his buddy Nolan Ryan. I can't rank him definitively, but on the all-time greatest roster, I think we could pencil him in as our number 5 starter without sounding completely ridiculous. And finally, Alex Rodriguez. A-Rod actually only played his first 10 seasons at shortstop before eventually moving on to third base, so it's a little unfair to compare his WAR at shortstop to guys who spent their entire careers there. And yet, despite playing only half as many games as the leaders on this chart, and completely sweeping some of his best seasons off the table, A-Rod shows up as one of the all-time best. There are some notable absences from this chart: Ernie Banks, Robin Yount, and Cal Ripken. Shortstops who, like A-Rod, moved to different positions midway through their careers, so let's stack those guys up. Yep, at shortstop, I'm going with A-Rod every time. If you're not mad at me, you should be. This entire argument requires a fair amount of goalpost moving and cherry picking. Are all 4 the greatest of all time at their respective positions? No, but you could make the argument without being immediately laughed out of the room, right? For one of your players to be in that conversation is great. 2 is practically unheard of. 3 is a ridiculous notion. And 4 is this: the 1990s Mariners. The modern murderer's row. Because this is an unfair semblance of talent, the Mariners had, a few months prior, traded away another player who could have eventually joined this pantheon. The year prior, the team was dragged to Appleton, Wisconsin for an exhibition game against their minor league affiliate, the Timber Rattlers. When the game was rained out, the teams decided to hold a home run derby to at least give the fans something to look at. Junior hit a few out, and so did A-Rod. But both of them were upstaged by the Timber Rattlers' 20-year-old first baseman. His name was David Arias, and according to a couple of accounts, he hit multiple home runs not just out of the stadium, but onto the highway. That is 650 feet away. That couldn't possibly be true. But it's what they said. Junior was watching in disbelief. A-Rod was freaking out. He'd later say that night, he wanted the Mariners to call Arias up on the spot. Ultimately, Arias was traded away a couple months later, and he started going by a different name. You know him as David Ortiz. While all this was going on, they had one of the greatest power hitters of the 21st century just kinda hanging out in their minor league system. You see what I mean? It was as though divine intervention was feeding transcendent baseball talent into Seattle. Did I mention they still had Jay Buhner, who hit 40 home runs again, and that his 40th home run was a 484-foot annihilation into the upper deck?
And built it one for history!
and that this home run officially gave the 1997 Mariners the all-time record for most home runs by a Major League Baseball team, a record that stood for 21 years throughout the entire remainder of the steroid era, and that they had Paul Sorrento, who hit 31 home runs, and Jose Cruz Jr., who hit 26 dingers in just 104 games, nearly won Rookie of the Year, and was traded away mid-season because they didn't need any more hitting. It was true. The Seattle Mariners really were the team of the future. In a first-round series that honestly isn't even really worth getting into, the Mariners' bats stopped working, the bullpen fell apart, and they were brushed aside by the Orioles in 4 games. To those of us who grew up in this time rooting for teams far away from Seattle, the Mariners were sort of our second favorite team, our vacation team, for all the reasons we've talked about. We wanted this team in the World Series so badly, just for the privilege of watching them. And if these Mariners weren't good enough, when was it ever going to happen? I remember thinking, well, maybe it's time to root for the individual now. Maybe things like the home run record are what matter. Junior's pursuit of history didn't depend on the good fortunes of his team or a pitifully small sample of games in October. The next year, he'd get a full season and a fair shot to hit 62 home runs. And he chased the record again. Unlike the previous year, Junior avoided that July slump. On August 1st, he was still on pace to hit 62 by year's end, and he never fell far off that pace. What happened next, I never saw coming. It stopped mattering. Over in the National League, Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa eclipsed him in August and never looked back. It was their story now. Junior once again finished with 56 home runs. No other player in the history of baseball, not even Babe Ruth, had done that twice in a row. But we just didn't care. He wasn't alone. An old friend of his was being ignored as well. In many ways, Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. were reflections of one another. Both were sons of star baseball players, had a reputation for getting cranky from time to time, and were transcendently great in all facets of the game. Up until this point, Bonds and Griffey were the 90s. They were numbers 1 and 2 on the 1990s home run leaderboard, and unlike so many of their neighbors on this list, they were great at everything. Both complemented their power at the plate with base stealing ability few others possessed, with Junior stealing more than 100 bases in this time, and Bonds 300. While other power hitters tended to be kinda bad in the field, both these men stood out as excellent outfielders, with Bonds winning 7 Gold Gloves, and Junior 8. In '98, which was only his age 33 season, Bonds joined the 400-400 club, 400 home runs, 400 stolen bases. To this day, he's the only player ever to do it across their entire careers, regardless of age. Incredibly, the only player ever to come close to matching this feat was his father, Bobby. And while some in baseball recognize the magnitude of this accomplishment, America generally didn't care, or even notice. It's comical to look back on how little we acknowledge something that was plainly obvious to everyone on Earth. In '98, Bonds looked basically the same as he did at the start of the decade. The same could be said of Junior. Mark McGwire, on the other hand, had transformed from a normal-looking guy into a cartoonish Soviet artillery prototype that took 3 days to reposition and 25 men to operate. His eventual admission, that he loaded up on steroids to smash the record with 70 home runs, wasn't necessary. Back in 1987, when Griffey was a lonely 17-year-old toiling away in the obscurity of the Arizona Instructional League, Bonds, then in his second Major League season, would take him out to dinner. The two have been close ever since. One night after the '98 season, Bonds had dinner at Griffey's home. In his book about Bonds, sports writer Jeff Pearlman describes a conversation between the two that evening. As the story goes, Bonds finally let it all out. He was sick of playing it straight. He'd played clean for a decade and accomplished incredible things, only to become a footnote, watching as others juiced up largely without scrutiny and were lauded as the saviors of baseball. He was going to get his too, he decided. Griffey, for the record, says this conversation never happened. Whether or not it did, it at least did accurately represent a fork in the road he certainly faced around this time. And the general consensus is that he never used any performance-enhancing drugs. "I have kids," he later said. "I don't want them to think their dad's a cheater." Cheating in sports is cool. It's more than that, it's beautiful. It's no fun when your team's on the wrong end of it, but generally, getting mad about cheating is like walking out of the movie theater because you disapprove of the actions of Darth Vader. Sports allow humanity to be what it is, warts and all, at its most base or brilliant, without any real consequence. The rules are not laws, they're dares. When we orchestrate elaborate sign-stealing operations, we express our ingenuity. And when our dumb schemes blow up in our faces, we give the world something to laugh about. When, for example, we throw an illegal spitball for decades, literally write a book called Me and the Spitter, and end up in the Hall of Fame anyway after everyone has a giggle about it, we demonstrate how little any of this actually matters and how arbitrary our standards are. Bonds allegedly cheated for years, looking like Super Shredder in front of the entire world, taking down baseball's most hallowed records, and the powers that be couldn't do anything about it. It's high comedy. But if cheating is valid, practicing virtue is every bit as valid. Did Junior ever use PEDs? No one can know for certain aside from YouTube commenters. They're all medical doctors who are very well connected in the baseball world, and they're bound to know if you ask them. Again, the general consensus is that he did not use PEDs. I choose to agree with this consensus, and I celebrate it. Not because he was doing the right thing, because who cares about that? Because he did what he wanted to do. He turned down the opportunity to graduate from a baseball superhero to a baseball god, instead choosing the opportunity to remain himself. Besides, it wasn't as though Junior's production was the problem. Randy Johnson had spent years pitching his guts out for this team. If it weren't for him leaving every bit of himself on the field in '95, the succession of miracles that kept the Mariners in Seattle probably wouldn't have occurred. After the intense workload sent him to the disabled list in '96, he'd returned in '97 with his best season yet. But the Mariners, tasked with keeping all four of the Beatles on the payroll at the same time, wouldn't, and maybe in a sense couldn't, offer him a contract extension. Randy spent the final season of his contract feeling completely disrespected, and the bad energy seemed to radiate throughout the clubhouse. The thing to do was trade him. At one point, the Dodgers offered a package that included the legendary Wilton Guerrero. The season prior, Guerrero had used a corked bat. He was caught when the bat shattered on an infield grounder and sent the cork flying. He was really caught when he ran around trying to collect the evidence instead of running to first. He would have made the perfect Mariner, but the team announced Randy was off the market. Things took a turn for the worse after a clubhouse shoving match with David Segui in July. Randy's numbers were awful by his standards, and the Mariners were all but out of the playoff hunt. Right before the deadline, they shipped him to Houston out of desperation. The knock on Johnson had been the 1996 injury and concerns about his future health. A mediocre 1998 suggested that his best pitching might have been behind him. But, as though morale had been the problem all along, Johnson caught fire the second he left town, finishing with an unreal 1.28 ERA in Houston and helping lead the Astros to the playoffs. Randy Johnson would end up pitching until past his 46th birthday, along the way winning a World Series MVP award and 4 more Cy Young awards in 4 consecutive years. As soon as he was eligible, he was nearly unanimously voted into the Hall of Fame. The loss was catastrophic for the Mariners, who had never lacked for hitting, but relied on Randy to keep their pitching from scuttling the team entirely. In both their playoff seasons, their ERA was far worse without him on the mound. What could this team do without Randy Johnson? In 1998, we had our answer. Here we see the Kingdome, just about a week before the Mariners' opening day. And you know what? It's not so bad. It's only 23 years old. No tiles have fallen since the 1994 incident, more than 5 years ago. And it offers the ideal controlled environment for Junior, who has a real shot at breaking the all-time home run record one day. The permanently closed roof ensures that the wind won't blow his home run balls back into play. The field dimensions aren't all that unfriendly to him either. All in all, the Kingdome seems like the perfect place for Jr. to make history and establish himself as the all-time... shit. No, crab apples.
From Griffey's 1989 debut until that ballpark swan song on June 27, 1999, Griffey had hit 377 career home runs, 198 of which came at the Kingdome. And whereas about 50.4% of all MLB homers came at home during that time, Griffey's 198 constituted about 52.5% of his career total. An uptick over the average big leaguer that's nothing to sneeze at. But their subsequent move into Safeco Field, their new $500 million home following the '99 All-Star break, meant trading a closed, controlled environment for one that was exposed to the whims of the Seattle elements, which would cost about 10 to 15 feet worth of carry off a hitter's bat. On top of that, Safeco's right field fence was about 15 feet further back than that of the Kingdome. Griffey was not a fan of the new park or the dimensions of a stadium ironically dubbed the house that Griffey built. So despite Junior's heroics keeping the team in Seattle and getting said house built, in true Mariners fashion, its architect didn't even stick around for its first full season. In the wake of his neighbor and golfer Payne Stewart's tragic death, Griffey realized he wanted to be closer to home and his family. Having rejected a $140 million extension, about a month after the conclusion of the 1999 season, he met with team management seeking a one-way ticket out of town, eventually settling on his native Cincinnati as the destination of choice to continue his career. Just like that, the man who brought Seattle baseball back from the dead, who revitalized an entire fan base, and whose sheer will and refusal to lose got a new stadium built to keep the Mariners in town, was gone, leaving the entire organization reeling and uncertain as to what lay ahead.
As a testament to how short of a time the Kingdome lasted, the Mariners plan to bring in Diego Segui, who threw the first pitch in Kingdome history back in 1977, to also throw the last pitch in Kingdome history. His son David was on the Mariners roster. It would have been a beautiful moment, but the team messed up and somehow failed to pay for his plane ticket, so he turned around and went home. It was enough to make you wonder whether this team could do anything right. Seattle had a ballpark. It was burned down by a serial arsonist, so they found another one, but it was full of mud. So they built another one, but there was poop everywhere. So they built another one, but the sky literally fell. So they built another one. But for reasons that still confound us, they decided on field dimensions that were inhospitable toward the face of their franchise, a factor that fed into his decision to leave town. The Kingdome finale wasn't the final game of the season, but for everyone who had spent all decade marveling at this team, it showed us everything they, and we, were about to lose. In the fourth inning, Griffey dug his cleat into the center field wall to rob Juan Gonzalez of a 3-run homer and preserve the lead. A lead he'd created in the first place with a 3-run homer of his own. It was the most beautiful swing in baseball. It's the one we always emulated as kids. That's what was going away. An unreal player, sending the ball into a concrete sky, watching over rolls and rolls of manufactured grass. There was something saccharine about all of it. Even the story of saving the local baseball team that was ripped straight out of a stupid movie. Of course, in reality, the team had been far more than just him, but to those of us who had marveled at this team all decade, they seemed now like an empty coat. But this is Junior we're talking about. Before him, the Mariners produced nothing but static. From the day he arrived all the way up to the present day, This team has had meaning. Everything that has happened in the 21st century, no matter how chaotic or bizarre, has made a certain amount of sense. And though no one knew it at the time, Junior had left the Seattle Mariners one last parting gift. The footage we're about to see was forgotten for years and years. It's sort of a miracle that this moment is preserved on film at all. No one could have imagined the significance we would one day find in it. It's 1995 in Cincinnati. Junior's gone out to dinner with a camera crew in tow because he's meeting a special guest midway through his tour of America. Junior has even brought along Senior, as well as his son, Trey. You most recently saw him with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The player we're about to meet is a 22-year-old who is already extraordinarily talented. Although it'll be another 5 years before he plays his first Major League Baseball game, Junior presents him with his very own number 24 jersey. The young man's in awe. Like all young players everywhere, he idolizes Griffey. And in fact, not long after this visit, he'll begin to express a profound desire to play on the Mariners one day. This meeting is likely the moment his journey to Seattle began. I think you might know his name too. It was A-Rod's team now, and in 2000, he made sure everyone knew it. It can be safely argued that despite missing 2 weeks due to a concussion, he pieced together the greatest individual season in Seattle Mariners history, even to this day. He finished with an incredible wins above replacement figure of 10.4. If you choose to take that literally, you could say the Mariners, who barely snuck into the playoffs after narrowly holding off Cleveland in the wildcard race, had Rodriguez to thank. There should have been hope in Seattle. After all, their 91 wins were a new franchise record. But the city had lost Randy Johnson one year, and Junior the next, only to spend another year wondering how in the world they were going to keep A-Rod in town. He was set to become a free agent at season's end, and nearly a dozen teams were ready to drive truckloads of money to his door. This might happen again. It couldn't happen again. After making short work of the White Sox in the first round of the playoffs, they advanced to the ALCS to meet the Yankees. The ancient beast they seemed to have awakened when they beat him back in '95. While the Mariners had spent the rest of the decade watching their massive potential go to waste, Griffey's old arch-rival promptly turned around and won the World Series in '96, '98, and '99. A-Rod beat the hell out of him in that series, hitting .409 and leading both teams in total bases. But he confronted the same immutable truth Junior had year after year, that no player, no matter how great, can do it himself. The Yankees sent the Mariners home in 6 games, en route to yet another World Series title, their 4th in 5 years. The loss tore A-Rod's heart out. He had a decision to make now. He could take Junior's road and stick it out, which ultimately ended with him getting homesick and heading back to Ohio without ever having caught his whale. Understandably, A-Rod took the money instead, signing a 10-year deal with the Rangers to complete what was then the largest contract in the history of sports. And being paid what he was worth, he became the villain everywhere he went. Incredibly, both Rodriguez and the Rangers would later say they regretted the deal. A few years later, Rodriguez himself ended up on the Yankees. In a level of vengeance that reads like the Old Testament at this point, the former Seattle fan favorite was bashed relentlessly by New York media and resented by Yankees fans despite putting up incredible numbers. He was just eaten alive out here. It's tempting to wonder how it might have been different. In 1995, when Edgar Martinez hit the double that saved Seattle baseball, the batter on deck was a 20-year-old Alex Rodriguez, who hadn't yet done much of anything in the major leagues. You may have noticed him off in the margins of that unforgettable shot of Jr. What if Edgar hadn't hit that double, and A-Rod had a chance to step in and take one of the most consequential at-bats in the history of baseball? Would he have remained a Mariner for life after that? Would his legacy have been different somehow? It's impossible to say. But he was on his own road now. As for the Mariners, their 1990s fever dream had passed. They lost Jr. one year, Randy the next, A-Rod the year after that. Edgar was still around and hitting well, but he was 38 years old all of a sudden, and he had been battling issues with his eyesight. He'd had trouble tracking the ball, a terrifying problem for a hitter, and required daily vision exercises just to stay in baseball at all. The aging Jay Buhner was still on the roster, but his career was all but finished. During that Mariners-Yankees season in 2000, Seattle fans had camped out in line outside Safeco Field for World Series tickets. They'd sat out there in the rain for days on end. Among them was a woman there to buy tickets as a gift for her mother, accompanied by her little pet ferret, dressed up in a matching Mariners jersey and ball cap. After days of being rained on and made fun of by passersby, they packed up and went home with nothing. The party was over. Alex, what the fuck was that?
Coming off that franchise record 91-win season, the Mariners exploded for an MLB record-tying 116 wins, matching the 1906 Cubs. They were among the best in MLB at everything, scoring more runs than everyone and allowing fewer runs than everyone. A pretty significant reason for this domination of the entire MLB landscape stemmed from internal improvement of guys already on the team. Starting pitchers Freddie Garcia and Aaron Seeley each had what was ultimately the best year of their lengthy careers. The ageless Jamie Moyer continued his agelessness as he approached his 5th decade of life, painting corners with his 85-mile-an-hour fastball and off-speed craftsmanship, and joining Garcia in the top 4 of AL Cy Young voting. Arthur Rhodes, Jeff Nelson, and closer Kazuhiro Sasaki spearheaded MLB's best bullpen with an unheard-of for that era ERA of 3.04. Their offense still had Edgar at the tail end of his peak, and they got the best season from the career of Griffey's center field heir apparent, Mike Cameron, in year 2 in the Emerald City. But 2 new bats in particular were what really catapulted a very good team into an absolute juggernaut. Second baseman Brett Boone signed a free agent deal with the Mariners prior to that 01 season. The 10-year vet came into the year a career .255 batter who'd never had a 100 RBI season while homering on about 3.2% of his at-bats. From out of nowhere, a suddenly jacked Boone batted .331, drove in his 100th run on August 1st, and had a home run rate that spiked to just a shade under 6% in 2001. Quite serendipitous. And while Buhner missed most of the season with a foot injury, the sun had set on his time in right field regardless, seeded to a new Mariner who was ready to take everything we thought we knew about baseball and flip it completely upside down. To take every limit, ceiling, or boundary we might naturally expect from a ball player and blow it to smithereens. The 2001 American League Most Valuable Player, Ichiro Suzuki.
Where to start? Okay. We think of the balance between science and sentimentalism as a sliding scale, right? If you're more of one, you're less of the other. Well, Ichiro is both, in extreme measure. Take his bats, for example. The scientist in him would travel with a custom-built dehumidifier to regulate their moisture content, and adjust it according to the climate of the city he was in. The sentimentalist in him once felt so guilty about throwing his bat in frustration that he took it back to his hotel room and tucked it into bed that night, and later wrote a letter of apology to its manufacturer. It is incredibly difficult and almost impossible to innovate as an offensive baseball player. While sports like football and basketball have evolved dramatically over the years, in baseball the cake is pretty much baked. To me, only 4 offensive players have really stood out as iconoclasts whose statistical footprint made clear that they were playing a different variant of the sport, that they found greatness by doing what no one around them was doing. First, Babe Ruth. For the first 50 years or so of baseball, virtually nobody hit more than 20 home runs in a season. Then Ruth set the all-time record with 29, then nearly doubled his own record the next year with 54, and the dam broke after that. Then there was Rickey Henderson, who set the modern single-season stolen base record with 130. No one's come within miles of it in decades, just like no one else has ever stolen anywhere near 1,400 bases. But it was more than just that. He was also a great hitter who was masterful at drawing walks, and was far better than most base stealers at getting on base in the first place. There's only ever been one Rickey Henderson. Of course, we have to acknowledge Barry Bonds, although not for his home run hitting. An on-base percentage of at least 500 is almost unheard of. Only 10 guys have ever done it. Bonds did it 4 times in 4 consecutive years. The 4th and final member of this club is Ichiro, the first ever Japanese position player to break into Major League Baseball, and one of only 32 players ever to retire with 3,000 hits. This shouldn't have been possible. Unlike the other 31 who typically began their Major League careers around age 20, an agreement between Japanese and American baseball prevented Ichiro from entering the majors until his age 27 season. It was a shame, since Ichiro had wanted to play alongside Jr. and A-Rod for years, only to finally end up in Seattle right after they both left town. He really had to bust his hump to get into this 3,000 hit club. Jr. didn't make it here. Neither did Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, or Ted Williams. Against all logic, despite showing up nearly a decade late, Ichiro did.
In the wake of having spent the first 9 professional seasons of his career in Japan, when he finally arrived in Seattle, his effort to make up for lost time far exceeded anything we'd ever seen in MLB history. From day one, and for a decade moving forward, Ichiro piled up over 2,200 hits. Not only is that by far the most that any player's ever had in any 10-year stretch, but for the most part, Ichiro didn't even need 10 years. He surpassed 2,000 hits during his 9th season. After 2009, he could have actually just been like, nah, I'm good, taken the ensuing season off, and still have been the first player since Pete Rose to have cleared 2K in any 10-year run. There's no one else you can even mention in the same breath. Ichiro simply existed in his own universe of batting wizardry.
3 main factors brought him here. The first was his incredible ability to stay healthy and in shape. In 2017, keep in mind Ichiro had been in the States for more than 15 years by this time, Tom Brady reached out to him to ask about his workout regimen. Ichiro had no idea who he was. Second, his masterful ability to hit anything and place the ball anywhere. We have hit location data dating back to the 1988 season. From then until now, Ichiro has more singles up the middle than anybody, and has more singles to the opposite field than anybody. Within this same window, we can look at every player who managed at least 2,500 hits. In general, their hits landed to a preferred side of the field, or in the middle. They only hit the ball to the opposite side of the field about half as often. Ichiro, meanwhile, was less predictable than anybody, hitting toward left field and right field almost equally as often. Now, a lot of these were infield hits, which brings us to his third superpower, his speed. Again, within this same window, Ichiro legged out more infield hits than anybody. Stat heads will rightly point out here that he only has that many in the first place because his batted ball stayed in the infield so often, which isn't optimal. Who cares? Just watch him in the 2001 All-Star Game, which naturally is in Seattle. Facing off against our old friend Randy Johnson, he dinks one over to first. This should be a guaranteed out, but this is what made Ichiro so exciting. Virtually any ground ball was a 3-second thriller. Remember this, it's 90 feet from home to first, but just 60 from the pitcher's mound to first. Ichiro has 50% more ground to cover than Randy does. Now, let's play it again from the top.
Can lead the hits with 100.
Ichiro just made up a 30-foot disadvantage in 3.5 seconds. He ran like this on every batted ball in every game he played for years and years. Even if they did throw him out, every ground ball he hit produced a fire drill. I'm not sure there's ever been a more exciting baseball player. Just as compelling as his statistical footprint, which seems to belong to a player from a different age, is the man himself. Ichiro, you bat left-handed despite being a natural righty. Why is that? I don't know. Ichiro, haven't you been intimidated by all these big, strong American pitchers? No. Ichiro, who do you ask for advice when you're in a slump? Me. Ichiro, in just your 8th Major League Baseball game, you made one of the throws of the decade to nail Terrence Long from right field.
Terrence Long, the throw by Ichiro, beautiful, Peggy, get him!
How did you do it? Why did he run when I was going to throw him out? Ichiro, what's your dog's name? I don't have my dog's permission to tell you that. Ichiro, what will you do once you retire? I don't know, I guess I'll die. There's something I find really inspiring about Ichiro's friendly, matter-of-fact stubbornness. You can see it in his words and in his play. None of this was supposed to work. None of it was supposed to carry over from Japan. But Ichiro knew it would. And he wasn't going to change a damn thing about the way he played baseball. Analyst and former player Rob Dibble declared at the start of the season that if Ichiro won the batting title, he'd get an Ichiro tattoo on his butt and run around Times Square in a G-string. That season, Ichiro hit .350 and won the batting title, the Rookie of the Year award, the MVP award, a Silver Slugger, and a Gold Glove. Thanks for playing, Rob. Like Junior, Ichiro is one of the most thrilling and unique baseball players the sport has ever seen. And just like the Mariners of the 90s belonged to Junior, the Mariners of the aughts belonged to Ichiro.
Ichiro was a player unlike any other when it came to game-to-game reliability. He was a metronome who had 5 different seasons in which he got a hit in at least 130 games. Not only has no one else ever had more than 2 such seasons, but Ichiro alone counts for nearly a third of all the times that's been done in the integration era. That's just for games with at least 1 hit. How about games with multiple hits? Well, he also had 5 seasons in which he did that in at least 70 games, when, again, no one else has more than twice in this time. That's 5 seasons where he could have been reasonably considered to have a near coin flip chance of multiple hits each and every time out, which, again, accounts for quite a significant chunk of all such seasons. But one of my favorite Ichiro things I've discovered is that in 2004, throughout the 60 games the Mariners played between June 30th and September 4th, he accumulated 120 hits. Put down your calculators, I gotcha. That is an even 2 hits per Mariners game for a period stretching more than 2 months. I was curious if anyone else has ever sniffed a similar cluster of hits across such a lengthy amount of time. Turns out, not really. Here is every instance going back over 70 years of an MLB player reaching even 100 hits across any 60-game stretch of his team season. It's extremely rare. Just not for Ichiro. Propelled by those couple scintillating months, Ichiro put himself in position to wage an assault on George Sisler's 84-year-old record of 257 hits in a single season. A 5-hit outburst on September 21st in Anaheim meant 2004 Ichiro became just the second player to surpass 240 hits since the Hoover administration, joining 2001 Ichiro. They then wrapped up a lengthy road trip with Ichiro standing at 256 hits, just one shy of Sisler's mark with a 3-game homestand against the Rangers on deck to wrap up the season. In what was supposed to be a weekend honoring the retiring Edgar Martinez in the final few games of his career, Ichiro wasted 0 time in providing plenty of more festivities to celebrate. To lead off the series, he hit this chopper that found its way to left field.
Strikes on him. And a ground ball, 1 up, and there it is! There's the tie, there's number 257!
Record tied. But things could have soon gone very awry when Ichiro lost his footing while attempting to make a play on this third-inning foul ball. It's cool though. Since he's a cyborg, Ichiro was totally fine to lead off the next frame for his second at-bat of the game, where he officially relegated Sisler to a silver medalist with this bouncer up the middle.
And a ground ball back up the middle, and there it is! He's the new all-time hit king in Major League history, number 258.
Seattle was overflowing with pride. Japan was overflowing with pride. Ichiro had reached immortality. He tacked on another 4 hits across his final 12 at-bats for good measure to finish up at 262. Records are meant to be broken, but it would be stunning if this one doesn't last until the sun burns out. On a more macro level, that was the second of 5 career seasons in which he topped 220 hits. No one else has ever done that 5 times, and in the integration era, no one's even close, with Ichiro once again single-handedly accounting for an outsized portion of all such seasons. In the 2001 postseason, despite being on the wrong end of the second most lopsided playoff contest ever in Game 3 of the ALDS in Cleveland that had him on the brink of elimination, they did rally to reach the ALCS and a date with those Yankees. Again, they dug themselves into a mess of a hole, dropping each of the first 2 games at home. Again, they tried to rally with a blowout Game 3 win in the Bronx, followed by this Brett Boone homer that broke a scoreless tie and gave him an 8th inning lead in Game 4. They were on the verge of tying up the series if their bullpen, unflappable all season, could cleanly record just 6 more outs. This is the Mariners we're talking about, so Arthur Rhodes, awesome all year, gave that run back to Bernie Williams in the bottom half of the 8th.
It'll be a 3-2. Swung on and hit high in the air to deep right. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone!
Before Kaz Sasaki, awesome all year, allowed Alfonso Soriano to walk the thing off in the 9th in what proved to be the dagger to Seattle's heart.
And Neal swung on, hit high in the air to deep right center field. Back goes Ichiro on the track at the wall. She's gone!
Seattle had this inconceivable baseball force fall right into their lap, and after falling short that first year together in 01, not even Ichiro could drag the M's back to October baseball. Not in 2002, when an impressive 93 wins were only good enough for 3rd place in the suddenly hyper-competitive AL West. Not in 2003, when they seemed destined for the playoffs, only to suffer a 4-game sweep in late August in Boston. The Red Sox, led by Seattle's old friend David Ortiz, used the series to pull even in the wildcard standings and launch into the postseason over the 93-win Mariners. Since the 1995 advent of the LDS, no other team has ever won 90-plus games in back-to-back seasons, while seeing their invitation to the postseason dance get lost in the mail both years, let alone to have won 93 in each year while residing in a tiny division. So the post-01 drop-off was shocking. In fact, following that season of pure magic, the Mariners' playoff drought that immediately commenced extended far past just those next couple seasons. It spanned the final 8 years of the aughts, then the entirety of the 2010s, and indefinitely into the great beyond. When the NFL's Buffalo Bills snagged a wildcard spot in the last week of the 2017 season, it bequeathed to the Mariners the longest active playoff drought in the Big Four North American sports leagues. They're the only team that could possibly go from teasing a fan base with a season of record-breaking success directly into a historically long run of ineptitude.
If you're only interested in winning and losing, this is the end of the story. 43 seasons, the vast majority of them losing seasons. 3,219 wins, 3,622 losses, 0 championships, 0 World Series appearances. At least some of you will stop watching, and at this point, we don't mind. I mean it, it's really okay. But as far as Alex and I are concerned, it's only now that we've gotten to the entire point of all this. The Seattle Mariners challenge us like no other team. By this, I don't mean that they test our patience, although that's certainly true. I mean that they offer us an opportunity to appreciate sports as something more than endless conquest. They've never won a World Series, but ask yourself honestly, does this look incomplete to you? Far be it from me to tell any lifelong Mariners fan how to feel about any of this, but for the rest of us, what is it truly missing? Is it this? Is this what you want? Is it really? Okay, here, take it all in. There's Randy Johnson, shut out against the Marlins in Game 1 of the World Series. There's Edgar, whose 11th inning single drove in the winning run of Game 4. And A-Rod, who dove around the tag to take a 3-1 series lead. There's Buhner, who came off the bench in Game 5 to crush a pivotal pinch hit double. And there's Jr., who stepped into the box in the bottom of the 9th and delivered a 3-run, championship-clinching walk-off. The Kingdome went crazy. What a moment that was. If that's what you wanted, you got what you wanted. Now, of all these stories, what's your favorite? What's the story you're telling first? If that was the one, you aren't ready for this team yet. The Mariners aren't special on account of their lack of success. It's just that success is entirely irrelevant. We've entered another realm here, one that's far larger and doesn't operate on the dead currency of winning and losing. Unless you let those limits go, you're an astronaut who brought your wallet. The Seattle Mariners are not competitors. They're protagonists. Still, there's no denying the heartache. They had already seen the moment pass once. When a second 4-year window opened out of nowhere, they won 393 games, more than any other team in Major League Baseball. They didn't win a World Series or even get to one. That was their shot, and they missed it. If you're having a hard time with this, that's okay. So were the Mariners, starting with manager Lou Piniella. A very real consequence of putting a baseball team in Seattle is that it's just so far away from everything. It's baseball's moon colony, far-flung from even its closest neighbors. It's what Jr. found so difficult as a rookie all those years ago. It's one of the reasons he left for Cincinnati in 2000. It's part of being a Mariner. Piniella was from Florida, which, as the crow flies, is closer to Brazil than it is to Seattle. After the 2002 season, the man who took the Mariners to the playoffs 4 times, and the only manager ever to do it at all, left town to manage the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. For a manager of a perennially winning team to up and leave for any other team is virtually unheard of, especially if he's on good terms with the front office, which it seems that Piniella was. But this is the team he left for. The Devil Rays lost 106 games in 2002. They were a horrifyingly bad baseball team. Lou Piniella had traded this for this. But that didn't matter to him. It's testament to just how badly he needed to go home.
We already know all about the Mariners' Randy Johnson trade and how he reached supernova levels immediately upon leaving town. Well, eventually, history would repeat itself with another Randy. Randy Winn originally broke into the majors in Tampa during the late 90s, blossoming into an all-star outfielder there by 2002. Upon the conclusion of that season over in Seattle was when Piniella wanted out of his contract so he could manage a club closer to his Tampa home. A club like, say, Tampa. The Mariners obliged, but only if they got significant compensation in return. The Devil Rays thus dangled Winn, and a deal was consummated. Winn provided a couple years of above-average play for the M's, all the way up through July 29, 2005, when he went 4 for 5 with a homer. Then immediately following that game, GM Bill Bavasi flipped him to San Francisco ahead of the trade deadline for a box of Cracker Jacks and a half-eaten ham sandwich. All Winn did down the stretch as a Giant was hit better than just about anyone else in the league, outside perhaps Todd Helton of Mile High, Colorado. In fact, in September of that 05 season, he became just the 8th player in the integration era to amass 100 total bases within a single calendar month. It's an accomplishment that, as of 2020, no one had done in the generation since Winn did. So if you're a baseball team in need of a historically strong half-season jolt, just call the Mariners and see if you can pry a Randy loose.
Oh, and you want to guess where Randy Winn was from? The Bay Area. He played college ball in Santa Clara. Clearly, he just needed to go home.
Let's fast forward just a bit to 2007. I went to school in Seattle, go Dogs, so I've always sort of just kept a corner of my eye out on the M's, since you never know what kind of weirdness they might be up to next. And one thing I noticed as the 2007 season moved along was that, while maintaining a good overall record, they frequently came up on the short end of games that weren't particularly competitive. Here's the run differential of every team to win exactly 88 games within the modern 162-game schedule. Most have a very strong differential. All have a positive differential, except for the Mariners, the worst in this sample by miles. They existed in isolation, quarantined off from the rest of the pack who behaved like normal 88-win teams.
Ichiro aside, the Mariners' best player in the back half of the decade was third baseman Adrian Beltre, who they landed in 2005. By the time he finally retired in Texas in 2018, he did so as a no-doubt future Hall of Famer. The season before he headed to Seattle, in fact, he enjoyed the best year of his career with the Dodgers, hitting .334 with 48 home runs and very nearly winning the MVP award over Barry Bonds. So what's this about? Well, you see that M shape right in the middle of this chart? It corresponds perfectly with the 5 years Beltre spent in Seattle. It's like the Mariners dug up their old logo and used it as a pastry cutter to squeeze down the prime years of his career. As soon as he showed up in town, his wins above replacement fell from 9.6 to 3.2. He wasn't injured either, he was just not the same. After 2009, he left for Boston and his WAR immediately more than doubled, and remained pretty steady until he started to battle injuries nearing age 40. I have never seen a player turn his statistics into visual art like this. Fascinating man. After spending 3 years in the cellar, manager Mike Hargrove was finally turning the team around. He'd been hired after the 2004 train wreck and steadily improved the team from 63 wins to 69 to 78. And in 2007, his Mariners were 11 games over 500 by the end of June. They'd won 7 games in a row, something they hadn't done in 4 years, and were setting themselves up for a strong playoff run. And then the next morning, Hargrove quit. There were no health issues. There was no disagreement with the front office. His heart just wasn't in it, he said. Maybe he was just tired of baseball. He was 57 years old. That happens. Except, only 2 months later, he accepted an offer to manage the BJs, a semi-pro team in Liberal, Kansas. And by this point, you can probably guess why. Hargrove grew up nearby and played for the BJs in the early 70s. He gave up a big salary, a shiny new stadium, and a winning major league team for this. He just had to go home. Managers don't leave winning teams they're on good terms with just so they can manage somewhere else. This never happens. It happened to the Mariners twice in 5 years. Power hitter Richie Sexson was home, more or less, having grown up in Washington State. When the Mariners signed him to a long-term deal in 2005, it should have been a great fit. At 6'8", he satisfied the team's historic interest in tall guys, and his legendary pranks made him a natural fit in Seattle. It's reported that years prior, he would acquire alligators with their mouths duct taped shut and hide them in teammates' lockers. Okay, let's hit pause on this. Do you have any idea how hard it is to tell a story about powerful rich men that last 32 years without an instance of someone doing something morally wrong? These guys never hurt anybody, they just had foibles and misadventures. Stick to taking cows on weird field trips, they don't care. We almost made it all the way to the end of this thing. You blew it, Richie. Anyway, the guy could mash, and we have the cherry picking to prove it. By his age 28 season, he had 2 45-homer years under his belt, putting himself in the company of some of the all-time greatest power hitters. But injuries had thrown a wrench into his career. His home run ability was diminishing, and his batting average, which was never very high, was plummeting. 2008 would turn out to be his final season at age 33. By the 8th of May, the Mariners were already getting cooked, well on their way to one of their worst seasons in franchise history. 2007 was an aberration. This was the new normal. In the 4th inning of that night's game against the Rangers, Richie steps in and does something I have never seen before or since. He takes a pitch from Kason Gabbard that appears to be right over the plate, acts like he's been shot, charges the mound, and chucks his helmet at him. This has to be the only instance in baseball history of a batter throwing at a pitcher without the pitcher throwing at the batter. Richie Sexson was suspended and later traded away mid-season. The Mariners finished with 101 losses that year. They'd paid a lot of money for the privilege, becoming the first team ever to lose at least 100 games with a payroll of at least $100 million. Ichiro is now the only man left from that magical 2001 season. He'd seen it all fall apart. At the end of the season, a reporter asked him what the team needed to fix. He sat there fanning himself and said through his translator, "We don't have time to explain." Days prior, an anonymous player went to the press claiming that Ichiro's teammates disliked him for his, quote, selfish style of play, whatever that meant, and that one player threatened to knock him out. These largely disappointing years were overseen by general manager Bill Bavasi, who took the job in 2004. Being a GM of a baseball team is an exasperating job. Players either get better or worse for no apparent reason, they suffer freak injuries, and you often have no control over whether or not they get along. Throw in the ridiculous and arbitrary nature of baseball itself, and it's enough to make you lose it. Apparently sensing his days in Seattle were numbered, he made a last-ditch effort to unify his team by attempting a mass citizen's arrest of some kind. Oh no, you can't do that, Bill. People have been thrown in jail for less, Bill. He was fired shortly thereafter. This team wasn't rebuilding, it wasn't a lovable loser, it was just busted. The Seattle Mariners were certainly no strangers to being bad, but after more than 30 years, it seemed like for the first time, they were truly unhappy. And I don't know about you, but at this point, I don't care much about winning. In a perfect world, happiness is all I would want for these people. I want Ichiro to have a good time. I want his old hero Jr. to come back so they can play together like Ichiro always dreamed about. I want him to, run around the clubhouse and get in tickle fights. I think we've wanted a lot of things.
Mike Blowers was a local college baseball star and spent 3 different stints playing for the Mariners in the 90s before landing a broadcasting gig with the club following his playing days. And it's perhaps in that latter role where his true legacy lies, because that platform allowed the whole world to realize just who Mike Blowers really is, a spiritual medium. Don't believe me? Well, allow me to introduce you to their ball game in Toronto on September 27th, 2009, and Blowers' pregame prediction for player of the game.
Pitch to click, final game of the series. Who's yours?
Well, I think clearly it's going to be Tuiasosopo today. He swung the bat well the last few times that he's got an opportunity to play. I expect him to hit his first big league home run today.
Second baseman like Tuiasosopo accounted for 189,487 of MLB's at-bats in the Yachts, 4,222 of which resulted in home runs. That's about 2.23% of them, meaning a roughly 1 in 45 shot of correctly pinpointing a particular at-bat in which a second baseman will homer.
Second at-bat.
As Blowers did in specifically identifying Tuiasosopo's second at-bat of the game.
He's going to get a fastball from Talent.
Talent was a relief pitcher throughout most of his 10-year career, but he was a starter in '09. It was by far his busiest season, notching over twice as many innings as any other, and thus reaching a 3-1 count on 70 different occasions, of which he threw a fastball 80% of the time.
And he's going to hit it out of left center field, probably, maybe in the second deck.
Of the 30,260 homers hit by right-handed batters in the 2000s, 17,296 of them were pulled toward left, which amounts to about 57.2%.
On a 3-1 count.
On a 3-1 count?
About 2.61% of the decade's 1.66 million at-bats ended on a 3-1 count, or roughly 1 in 38.
And that's inside ball 3. 3 balls. I've never been so excited on the 3-1 count in my life.
That's the absolutely incredulous Dave Niehaus on the call.
3-1 pitch on the way. Swung on and belted in the left field. It just missed the second deck. Fly away. I don't believe it. I see the light. I believe you, Mike.
At the time, he was in season number 33 calling Mariner games. He had seen it all, or so he thought. Babe Ruth in the 1932 World Series gets the most love for a called home run shot, despite being, Babe Ruth. Blowers confidently called his shot for a 23-year-old fringe big leaguer batting 8th in the lineup who'd yet to ever hit even a single homer, while also including every detail imaginable. And he nailed it all. If there has ever been a more eerie sports prophecy, I have not seen it, because it does not exist.
The same season, another Mariners' luck turned in a different direction. You see, Adrian Beltre famously didn't wear a cup at third base. When he was a rookie, the Dodgers tried to get him to wear one, even fining him every time he didn't. He refused, and they eventually gave up. All was well. Until August 12th, 2009. The bad energy of the moment seemed to emanate throughout the stadium, spreading bad vibes and disrupting electronics. The home plate camera pulled all the way out, which it never ever does on an infield play. The third base side camera didn't really catch it. We don't really get a good look at it. Maybe it's for the best. Incredibly, Beltre stayed in the game and even scored the winning run in the 14th inning. But it would be a few weeks before he played again. Even then, he refused to wear a cup throughout the rest of his career, reasoning, "I already had 3 kids, I don't want any more." Fair enough. September 1st. It's his first at-bat since the injury. His walk-up music plays.
Mike Butcher, a word or so at the mound. And here comes Beltre, who's missed 18 games.
You hear that? You recognize it? Prior to the game, one of Beltre's teammates had secretly arranged to have his walk-up music changed to the Nutcracker Suite. Who would be so juvenile? Who on earth would do such a thing? Some would point out that the Mariners' re-signing of Ken Griffey Jr. was little more than a crowd-pleasing concession. Who cares? He was 39 now, about the same age his father was when they signed him as a publicity stunt decades ago. Jr. certainly wasn't anything close to the player he used to be, but he still had a little power in his bat. More importantly, he immediately turned the clubhouse culture around. While 2008 was rife with finger-pointing and temper tantrums, an older, wiser Jr. sort of loosened everyone up and pulled the team together. In particular, he made a point to bring Ichiro into the fold. What largely went unsaid during Ichiro's career is that it was often a lonely experience for him. Like Junior, who mostly wanted to spend time with his family and play Nintendo, Ichiro mostly just wanted to go home to his wife, dog, and comic books. And although he'd picked up some English over the years, the language barrier was still very real. Those around Ichiro said they'd never seen him so happy in the clubhouse. Ichiro and Junior were inseparable. And Ichiro would later say that his friendship with Junior was, quote, close to a miracle. Their lockers were right next to each other, and the two late 30-somethings were constantly seen shoving each other around and giggling. The only way they could have been more adorable is if they routinely got into tickle fights in the clubhouse. Which they did, constantly. It was a perfect world. Ken Griffey Jr. probably knew by this point that he was never going to play in a World Series. He had never had any say in that, no matter what he did with his bat or his glove. But this he could change, and he did. He fixed this team. With the benefit of hindsight, we know that on-field contention wasn't in the cards for the Seattle Mariners, and has never been to this day. That was never happening. The only fight left was for happiness. For a year, at least, it was a fight they won. Junior's years in Cincinnati didn't go the way anyone wanted. In his 8.5 seasons there, the Reds were never a serious contender, leaving him once again to his individual pursuits. The big one, the one everyone wanted to see, was Griffey's challenge of the all-time home run record. Nobody expected him to keep up this breakneck pace throughout his career, but soon after he landed in Cincinnati, his numbers fell off a cliff. He just kept getting hurt. It's one of the most frustrating things I've ever seen as a sports fan. Over a 6-year span, he'd missed more than 400 games, about 2.5 seasons worth. His bid to become the greatest home run hitter of all time was over. Junior was never reaching the mountaintop, not as a member of a team, and not individually in the short term or the long term. By the time he finally returned to Safeco Field as a visiting player in 2007, the future we'd all imagined for him had disappeared, but Mariners fans didn't care about any of that. They went nuts for him. And when Junior's bat came back to life at the end of the 2009 season, everyone went nuts for him again. He hit 3 home runs in the final homestand and smacked a single in his last at-bat. After the game, teammates threw Junior and Ichiro up on their shoulders and paraded them back to their dugout. Alex and I have spent months dwelling on the Mariners. What they mean, what they're for, how to appreciate them, the ultimate irrelevance of on-field success, the importance of celebrating a team for what it is and not for what it could be. And then I watched this. It's as though this team and these fans understood it all along. I was late to the party. You're looking right now at a team that isn't going to the playoffs. They didn't even really come close, but they're getting a standing ovation and waving their caps in gratitude. This is Whoville. I have never ever seen another team do this. This team and these fans aren't celebrating any kind of on-field accomplishment. They're celebrating one another. They're celebrating themselves. In this moment, the baseball gods offered Junior the perfect ending to his career. Something like a World Series title would have compromised the lesson here. His career should have ended at this moment, one in which he was the subject of unconditional love. But Junior didn't take the baseball gods up on this offer. He would return for one more year. Things can never be simple. Things will never end the way they're supposed to. Not for Ken Griffey Jr., not for the Seattle Mariners. The instinct to go home can be overwhelming, but actually doing so is a different matter. It's 1986. The Yankees are a few innings into a game. Their left fielder, Ken Griffey Jr., is supposed to be there, but he's not. He's so miserable as a Yankee that he's decided to stay home across the river in Jersey and skip the game entirely. The team has sent a state trooper to check on him. Sr. ignores him, walks to his car, and drives south, as far away from the Bronx as he can get. After an hour or so on the Jersey Turnpike, Sr. turns around and drives back. Jr. returns for another year at age 40, playing exclusively as a designated hitter. He's hitting .184. He's awful. By certain measures, owing to the level of production expected from a DH, 2010 Ken Griffey Jr. is on his way to becoming one of the worst players in the history of Major League Baseball. Weeks ago, a couple of teammates leaked to the press that Jr. had been found sleeping in the clubhouse in the middle of a game. Jr. didn't deny it, but the betrayal hurt him. Everything hurts, in fact. It's the bottom of the ninth inning on May 31st. He's sent to pinch hit with a man on first. He's got a bad knee, and it makes his swing look terrible. His old swing, the most graceful swing baseball has ever seen, belongs to the past now. He slaps it foul. They put up a chyron to tease us with what everyone in the building wants to see. Just one more Ken Griffey Jr. walk-off home run. He hasn't hit a home run all year. That is not going to happen. Next pitch is low and away. Jr. used to love these. He reaches at it like a shop owner shooing a rat outside, serving up an almost custom-made double play. But Justin Morneau can't dig the throw out of the dirt. Jr.'s safe, despite having lurched to first like a kid wearing his dad's boots. A pinch runner is called, and he leaves the game. That night, Jr. picks up a couple bottles of Mountain Dew, gets in his car, and drives east. He tells nobody. His old buddy, Jay Buhner, gets a call from a friend, insisting up and down he just saw Ken Griffey Jr. filling up his car at a gas station in Montana. That's impossible. The Mariners have a game in Seattle today. But it's him. He couldn't stay another minute. He couldn't wait any longer. He misses his family in Orlando, Florida immensely, and he's driving home to him without stopping to rest. It's a journey that, by his account, takes 43 hours. You can doubt him if you'd like. Just remember who you're doubting. He calls his dad 3 times along the way and tells Senior how happy he is with what he's doing. He just has to go home. There is no press conference, no ceremony, no parade. Just 2 headlights in the dark.
Welcome to the Felix Hernandez era. The crown jewel of recent Mariner history carried the team on his back for years. Well, at least as much as a starting pitcher can, because, you see, no matter how well one pitches, it won't put any runs on the board for his own team. And when it came to run support, forget halfway, Mariner bats generally couldn't even meet him 1 step of the way. For instance, in 2010, the 24-year-old Hernandez pitched magnificently, yet didn't even make the All-Star team as his 7-5 record was deemed too underwhelming by voters stuck in the Stone Age. When the season wrapped up, his 13-12 record was even worse. That's because the Mariners scored a pitiful 513 runs that year, the fewest by any team in a full season since 1972. And for Felix, they were somehow even worse. Take a look at the run support his lineup gave him in his 12 losses. plating 4 in Anaheim actually serves as an outlier here, having scored an embarrassingly low 10 runs across the other 11 games. Obviously, none of this is any sort of indictment of Hernandez, who was clearly the American League's very best pitcher. Fortunately, there was no doubling down on his egregious All-Star snub, and he was able to rightfully win the AL Cy Young Award. To put in context how meager the help he got was, here are each of the 110 instances a starting pitchers won that award through 2019, sorted by the percentage of their decisions constituted by losses. Before Felix, no starting pitcher to win Cy Young had a mark north of 40. Hernandez at the very top is all the way at 48%. In the time since, Jacob deGrom's topped 40, but that's it. No one else has ever even come close. It requires a special brand of incompetence to take a season so special by a pitcher, yet not even have any inherent advantage in the ball game when he's on the mound. He also did something that's only been done by 2 other AL pitchers in the 21st century: toss at least 7 innings while allowing no more than 2 earned runs in over 20 different games, with no one in 2010 even in his neighborhood. The Mariners managed to take one of the very great pitching seasons in recent history and completely waste it. Oh, by the way, the other 2 AL pitchers who have done so this century? 2009 Felix Hernandez and 2014 Felix Hernandez. But I want to focus on a game from 2012 for a sec. Specifically, the afternoon of August 15th with the Tampa Bay Rays in town, though they would have been better off just pushing the snooze button and not bother even showing up. And really, after Felix sat everyone down the first time through the lineup, his own outfielders, for the most part, didn't even need to be there either. Trayvon Robinson, Michael Saunders, and Eric Thames could have just not taken their regular posts in the field after the 3rd inning, and with the exception of just one Ben Zobrist flyout, it would have had 0 implications in how the game played out, because the other 17 of Tampa's final 18 plate appearances resulted in 10 strikeouts and 7 weakly hit balls to infielders. It was also one of just 4 times ever a pitcher struck out a dozen in a perfect game. Combine that with barely ever allowing a ball to even leave the infield, and a reasonable case can be made that this was as dominant as any pitching performance in the history of baseball. It all culminated at 3:02 p.m. with this corner-kissing changeup that left Sean Rodriguez more frozen than absolute zero in what was truly a crown-earning masterpiece authored by King Felix. And given that Seattle scored a par for the course, lone, singular run, anything less than that likely wouldn't have been enough. But he made that moot because through and through, Felix was perfect.
34 years, 119 games, it's finally happened! A perfect game by a Seattle Mariner! It was done by the King!
That is what's known as the King's Court, the special section in left field reserved by the team every time King Felix takes the mound. No one else ever got that honor, not even Junior. See, even among this pantheon, Felix is special. These were fans who, just a few weeks prior, had to watch their most beloved superstar walk out the door. It was a trade Ichiro had requested. Not only that, it was a trade to the Yankees, who the Mariners were hosting for a 3-game series. His first at-bat in pinstripes, just hours after leaving the Mariners, came in Safeco Field. Were this any other team, or any other city, this could have been ugly. And yet, nothing was going to change their love for Ichiro Suzuki. They cheered him when he gave a bow, and they cheered him again when he smacked an 0-1 pitch into center field.
Look at that space hit up the middle.
It was a decision Ichiro had made out of love. He knew that he was expensive, that his skills were declining at age 38, and that room had to be made for the Mariners' rebuilding efforts. The Seattle fans, by and large, really seemed to get it. As silly as it feels to reduce an entire fan base to a monolith, it felt that by this point they'd graduated to an elevated appreciation of the sport. They loved the game, and the team, and its people, When you appreciate sports in this way, your happiness is no longer staked to these stupid P&L charts. There are no limits anymore. The love you can send is endless. You can give it to the one who's wearing a different uniform now, the one you're supposed to hate the most. And of course, you can also give it to the one who stuck around. Felix stuck around for 15 seasons, longer than any Mariner in history aside from Edgar Martinez. The following winter, at the peak of his powers, he could have entered free agency and gone wherever he wanted. Instead, he stayed. While the Mariners did pay him well, Felix surely passed up truckloads of money to stay with this team, the one that had been terrible almost the entire time he'd been here. Virtually anyone else with his transcendent ability never would have done that. Junior didn't. Randy didn't. A-Rod didn't. Felix did. And in so doing, he paid a price. In terms of wins above replacement, these are the top 50 pitchers of the 21st century, plotted by the number of trips each of them took to the postseason. A lot of Felix's peers have appeared in the playoffs on a regular basis. The vast majority have been at least 4 times. Nearly all have been there multiple times. Felix, having lashed his fate to that of the Mariners, is the only one who has never appeared in a single playoff game. Not that he didn't come close. He came so close. Major League Baseball had expanded its playoff format to allow for a second wildcard team in each league, and in 2014, the Mariners and Athletics battled for that final spot. The win-loss chart looks like two people trying to avoid a party. Once the A's began to falter, the Mariners timidly abandoned their positive momentum and hid behind them. On the morning of the final game of the season, the spot was still up for grabs. A Mariners win that afternoon, coupled with an A's loss down in Texas, would force a one-game tiebreaker that could spring Seattle into their first playoff appearance in 13 years. And guess who got the ball? The first pitch of the A's game is scheduled about 1 hour before the Mariners game. Seattle fans in the stadium are likely to hear the final score of that one in the middle of this one. They'll need a distraction, and they'll get one in the form of a Felix Hernandez masterpiece. Felix mowed down the first two Angels, then gave up a single to Albert Pujols. It's all they would get out of him, as he immediately sent Pujols back to the basement with the third out. He was throwing gas, at one point striking out 4 in a row, then coaxing out 6 straight infield grounders. The ball hadn't even left the infield in more than 3 innings. After 5 innings pitched, no earned runs, 1 hit, no walks, 7 strikeouts. On this Sunday afternoon, King Felix was invincible. Mariners fans are intently watching 2 things, the game on the field and the game on the scoreboard. As any baseball fan will tell you, the latter is an especially nerve-wracking experience. It tells us so little, but it does tell us that in the bottom of the 9th, with a man on first, the Rangers have the beginnings of a rally going. On the field, meanwhile, the Mariners' newly acquired superstar, Robinson Cano, singles to lead off the bottom of the 5th. Here, everything is as it should be.
And it's over. Congratulations to the Oakland Athletics. They hung on.
A foul ball sails into King's Court. A fan makes a beautiful barehanded grab. They're going crazy. They haven't heard yet. But Felix has. His face here says everything. In his 10 years with the Mariners to this point, Felix Hernandez has never come anywhere near this close to playoff contention. And to this day, he's never come this close again. And God, how he wanted it. With the playoff race over, manager Lloyd McClendon gives Felix the rest of the day off. He sends him out to the mound in the 6th, just so the fans can send him off with an ovation. And as such, Felix is officially credited with 5 1/3 innings pitched. This is every start of exactly 5 1/3 innings between 1904, the earliest our available data stretches back, and the end of this 2014 season. In total, there were 9,777. They're plotted here by game score, which is a metric developed by renowned baseball writer Bill James. Game score is a rating meant to assess the overall quality of a pitching performance. Felix's game score that day was 73. It appears likely to have been the greatest start of exactly 5 1/3 innings in the history of Major League Baseball. The Mariners have taught us time and time again that no player can do it alone. As a pitcher who, at his best, was capable of completely taking over a baseball game like no one else could, Felix Hernandez came closest to breaking this rule. But even when you can, you can't. The Mariners are out in the great beyond now. Throw away your compasses, they don't work out here. While normal teams experience years-long phases of success and recovery, since 2013, the Mariners have had a losing record, a winning record, a losing record, a winning record, a losing record, a winning record, and a losing record. There's no reasonable way to set expectations for where they'll end up in any given season. This is the footprint of a team that refused to truly, fully rebuild. And who can blame them, because rebuilding is boring. Instead, they did something they'd never really tried before. In the 90s, they built their teams from the ground up, drafting Junior and A-Rod, landing Randy in a trade as an afterthought, and signing Edgar out of a General Electric factory. The makeup of the unbelievable 2001 team was a lot different. They landed one megastar at a great price and surrounded him with a rock-solid supporting cast. In the aughts, they became relatively big spenders in the free agent market for the first time, landing Adrian Beltre and Richie Sexson. But this time they seemed to wonder, what if we pay an absolutely gigantic pile of money to one guy? Hey, what was that lesson we've been learning over and over and over for the last 30 plus years? That one person can't bring a team to greatness? What the hell. It was one of the most unexpected free agent signings ever, and it was as though they were trying to counteract the tide of history. Randy Johnson later went on to become a Yankee. So did A-Rod, so did Tino Martinez, so did Ichiro. Thanks to his undying blood feud, the Yankees never could have had Junior, but they could have had just about anything else they wanted. And yet, it was the Mariners, the team that almost never made a splash in free agency, who came out of nowhere to pry a superstar second baseman out of New York. 10 years, $240 million. The Mariners, of all teams, had given out one of the largest contracts in the history of sports. And the architect behind the deal was his agent, Brodie Van Wagenen. Do me a favor and remember that name for a minute if you could. Anyway, Cano and Van Wagenen made off like bandits because at the time of the deal, Cano was already 31 years old. There was no denying how great of a player he was, but the Mariners should have known he'd regress in his 30s. He did. Though Cano was still quite productive, only 2 of his 5 seasons in Seattle were Cano caliber. In 2018, Cano was popped for allegedly violating the league's PED policy and suspended for 80 games. After the season, the Mariners were lucky enough to escape this deal when they flipped him to the Mets, who assumed most of the remainder of his contract just in time to watch his numbers completely bottom out. Aside from Cano, the big winner in this deal was Brodie Van Wagenen, who pulled off one of the most one-sided deals of the century. The big loser, clearly, was the Mets GM. Who was Brodie Van Wagenen? Who went from big-time baseball agent to front office exec, a career jump I have never heard of before, just in time for him to accept the butt end of his own deal. I have no explanation for this. Maybe he was just trying to be polite. At any rate, Robinson Cano did make the Mariners a slightly better team than they would have otherwise been. The 2016 squad deserves your sympathy. They had the 4th best run differential in the league, scoring 61 more runs than they allowed. That ought to be enough to get you in the playoffs, especially in the new 5-team format. But while their neighbors did, they didn't. By a wide margin, the Texas Rangers won the AL West instead, despite a far less impressive run differential. Pythagorean wins and losses solve for this by presenting the record you would expect from a team based on their run differential. Looking at the Mariners differential, you'd expect 87 wins, which is almost exactly what they got in real life. But looking at the Rangers, you'd expect far fewer than 95 wins, only 82 in fact. This suggests that the Rangers got lucky and scored at the right times throughout the season, and if it weren't for that, the Mariners would have handily won the West. This is a make-believe tool for nerds with nothing better to do than count beans all day. That describes me accurately, so let's continue. Here we see the differences between Pythagorean wins and actual real-life wins of every team in the integration era. There are nearly 1,800 teams here. Some got incredibly unlucky, ending with far fewer wins than their run differential would suggest. The vast majority ended up about where you'd expect, give or take a couple of wins. Some got really lucky, but the one team that got absurdly lucky, luckier than anyone in modern times, was that 2016 Rangers team. That outrageous amount of luck is what kept Seattle out of the playoffs that year. Now, the 2018 Mariners, who won 89 games and missed the playoffs, do not feel bad for them. Here's the run differential of every team to win exactly 89 games within the modern 162 game schedule. Most have a very strong differential. All have a positive differential. Except for the 2018 Mariners, the worst team in this sample by miles. Let's visit this chart again. On the list of luckiest teams of the modern era, these Mariners are right behind those Rangers at number 2. If this sounded familiar, it's because I stole Alex's script word for word when he talked about 2007, when the Mariners pretty much did the exact same thing. The modern Seattle Mariners are not cursed, they're not hopeless, they're free. The burden of greatness is gone. The age of expectations is over. They're free to luxuriate in what seems today like an endless epilogue, rudderless and profoundly weird, just like they were in the early days. It's certainly true that strange, stupid things happen to every baseball team, but put simply, the Mariners have a gift.
Speaking of Mariner gifts, one of them was arguably as shocking a home run as there's been in big league history. Let's reach back just a bit to 2008, now that you're familiar with Felix. We already know all about his pitching prowess, but back when he was just a 22-year-old kid, he hit this grand slam against the Mets in Shea Stadium on just his 9th career at-bat.
Fly away! Get out the rye bread and mustard, Grandma!
From the Mariners' 1977 birth through the 2019 season, that was one of 233 bases-loaded plate appearances by an AL pitcher. It was the only one to result in a grand slam. Okay, that's neato and unlikely. But want to know what made it exponentially more neato and unlikely? That lone, unique grand slam of its kind was hit off the pitcher who had the very best ERA in all of Major League Baseball that season. In fact, Johan Santana was in the midst of what was arguably the greatest season of his career. A career that earned multiple Cy Young awards. On top of that, he hadn't allowed a grand slam in nearly 5 years and over 1,000 innings. And that streak was snapped by a pitcher, an AL pitcher, a pitcher who, by his own admission, had never hit a home run at any level of the sport since Little League. There is nothing on this planet that makes less sense than baseball. It turned out to be the penultimate grand slam ever hit by a road player at Shea Stadium. The very final one, also hit by a pitcher, the Cubs' Jason Marquis. Again, nothing about this sport makes a lick of sense.
In 2010, the Mariners took a reasonable gamble on Eric Burns. Once an MVP candidate, Burns was signed for the minimum after a couple of injury-filled years that nearly took him out of baseball altogether. The first few weeks were really rough for Burns, who was hitting just .111. But the Mariners were playing .500 baseball. On April 30th, they took the Rangers to extra innings with a chance to snag a winning record. In the bottom of the 11th, with Burns at the plate and Ichiro on third, manager Don Wakamatsu calls a suicide squeeze. If successful, there are few more exciting ways to win a baseball game. The idea here is that Burns bunts, the lightning-fast Ichiro bolts for home before the ball's even left the pitcher's hand, and he slides into the plate before Frank Francisco can cleanly field the ball and toss it to the catcher. This is always an extremely risky call, because the whole thing all depends on Burns being able to make contact with the bunt. If he doesn't, Ichiro will be completely hung out to dry. Burns has to get his bat on it, no matter what. The 11-year veteran squares to bunt. Francisco delivers. The pitch is headed low and outside. What are you doing? It defies explanation. With Ichiro's fate on the line, Burns pulls back the bunt. He seems to immediately realize his mistake, reflexively poking his bat back over the plate, even though the pitch has been thrown already. This is now a homicide squeeze. Ichiro, because he's Ichiro, almost pulls it off anyway, getting to the plate mere milliseconds after the tag. This would have been the game winner. Instead, Ichiro's out, Burns strikes out to end the inning. The Rangers win it in the 12th. The Mariners kick off an 8-game losing streak. They never get anywhere close to 500 again, and they finish with 101 losses, the worst record in the American League. Remember the story of Junior's epic 43-hour exodus from Seattle, the one that happened a month later? Well, here's an extremely poor man's version of that story. After that suicide squeeze debacle, Burns went to the clubhouse, got on his cruiser bike, rode through the stadium tunnel, nearly ran over his general manager, and kept on riding out at Safeco Field all the way to his home in downtown Seattle. This was his life now. Eric Burns retired shortly thereafter, becoming a triathlete, and now rides his bicycle thousands of miles across the country. This is like something a sim would do. In literally riding out of the clubhouse on a bicycle, he seamlessly and immediately reassigned himself from baseball player to cyclist. Amazing. Spectacular. I'm in awe.
Throughout the first 43 years of Seattle Mariner baseball, 331 of their 1,921 regular season road losses came when their opponent was batting and walked off victorious. That was more than every other team in their league except Toronto, but they found one way to lose that escaped even the Blue Jays. While the overwhelming majority of the Mariner walk-off losses obviously stemmed from allowing game-winning hits, in their quest for thoroughness, they managed to lose on a play in which they recorded a strikeout. On September 29, 2010, the M's are nursing a 1-run, 8th-inning lead in Texas before a bases-loaded wild pitch from Seattle reliever Dan Cortez enables the Rangers to tie it up.
Gets away. The Rangers looking to tie it. They do.
Interim manager Darren Brown leaves Cortez in the game for the 9th, where Mitch Moreland draws a 2-out walk to get the game-winning run aboard and bring Nelson Cruz to the plate. With 2 strikes, Cruz chases this slider in the dirt in what would have ordinarily sent the game to extras. But it's yet another wild pitch from Cortez, and a poor throw by catcher Guillermo Quiroz goes sailing into right field. Moreland gets on his horse and commences a 270-foot victory jaunt around the base path to punctuate a bizarro Ranger victory. And if a baseball game ending on a walk-off strikeout isn't wacky enough, Cruz flirts with somehow making it even way more outlandish. See, upon reaching first on Quiroz's throwing error, Cruz decides to turn and go charging towards second. Logic that would be totally sound had the Rangers been down 1 or 2 runs. But they were tied, meaning, with a man on, Cruz represented an irrelevant run. Furthermore, since there were 2 outs, it's not like he was trying to eliminate the potential of a subsequent double play ball. It was an affront to all rational risk-reward calculation. Fortunately for Texas, the natural instinct in that situation is to fire home, and thus Cruz's brain fart was ultimately harmless, ensuring Seattle the ignominy of the rarest of all walk-off losses.
That's a walk-off strikeout. Nice strikeout, Nelly.
In July of 2011, the Mariners lost 17 consecutive games. To this day, it's the second longest losing streak in the last 30 years of Major League Baseball. But what makes this one special is that during a chunk of it, they managed to fall 10 games out of the standings in a 10-game span. On the morning of July 6th, the Mariners were sitting at 500, and only 2.5 games back from the AL West leading Rangers. Just 10 games later, they were 12.5 back, well out of contention. The odds of your 10-game losing streak perfectly coinciding with a division leader's 10-game winning streak are extraordinarily remote. To simplify things a bit, let's just suppose your odds of winning a game are 50-50, which for both teams is more or less the case. Logically, the odds of you losing and your division leader winning are 25%, or 1 in 4. For that to repeat over the next pair of games as well, that's 1 in 16. As you'd imagine, the number balloons very quickly from here. Now, the probability does ease up a little bit for this 4-game stretch since the Mariners and Rangers played each other. A Mariners loss automatically meant a Rangers win, so the odds of fulfilling the conditions expanded to 1 in 2. But by the end of it, the coin flip odds of this 10-game stretch sit at about 1 in 65,000. This has happened at least once before, most recently to the 2002 Detroit Tigers, but that was at the start of a season with low expectations to begin with. The Mariners suffered this humiliation in the middle of a playoff race. They were right in the thick of it, But at the end of the season, when they finished 29 games out, you never would have known it. Well, now that we've reached this era of Mariners baseball, we can finally talk about two players who are very near and dear to me. The first is Jack Wilson. An extraordinary defensive shortstop who on one occasion committed back-to-back errors when they tried to make him a second baseman. In keeping with the Mariners' time-honored tradition of piecing out without asking anyone's permission, Wilson was so dejected that he went straight to the clubhouse at the end of the inning and decided not to come back out. In terms of defensive wins above replacement, Wilson ranks among the top 50 defensive players of all time. He's pretty underappreciated, in part because he wasn't a great hitter, and in part because he spent most of his career playing for terrible teams. But he made some incredible plays, the most memorable of which is probably this one from April 4th. Wilson manages to drag his toe across second, then turns to fling it to first despite his momentum carrying him in the opposite direction. Jack Wilson only played for the Mariners for a short time, but it's all the time he needed to perform the two miracles necessary for Goofus Maloofa's sainthood. The first came in July of 2010. Near the end of a 13-inning game, Wilson runs down a bouncing ball up the middle, spins, double clutches, and with a grand flourish, whips it to first. I can hear the sirens of the baseball police getting closer. Let me guess, you have to have the baseball in order to throw the baseball? Such limited thinking. The second of his miracles is more understandable in context, but it's still really funny looking. An errant throw to first sends the ball into foul territory. After initially chasing it down, Wilson does what is probably the correct thing to do, which is to peel off and let Ichiro take it. It's just the way he does it. You see, most of us saw this play as an animated GIF. In fact, most of us knew Jack Wilson just through GIFs. This is all we saw or knew of him at the time. A tremendously talented man. A man with a soul, a man with hopes and dreams, was bottled up into a dozen of the funniest looking frames of his life. Our other hero is Raul Ibanez. Whose career arc is one of the strangest I have ever heard of. For one, he had 3 separate careers with the Mariners. He was sort of a passing comet, having visited during the Death Star years of the late 90s as well as the malaise of the mid-aughts, before making a farewell tour as a 41-year-old in 2013. Far weirder though is how late of a bloomer he was. In fact, as power hitters go, Ibanez was the latest bloomer in the history of baseball. These are the guys who hit the most home runs from their age 30 seasons onward. In this category, he hit as many as Manny Ramirez, and nearly as many as Willie McCovey and Ted Williams. If you're shocked to see him here, believe me, I was too. Now, let's take these top 25 and see how these same guys rank all time in the under 30 home run category. As you'd figure, all the usual suspects like Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and Willie Mays were also one of the best ever young home run hitters. Some were late bloomers, with Andres Galarraga ranking around number 500 and Nelson Cruz in the 700s, but nobody is in the same universe as Raul Ibanez, whose home run total before age 30 ranks number 1,925. He only hit 27 home runs in his 20s. And while he hit the vast majority of his home runs in his 30s, what's unbelievable to me is that he hit nearly twice as many home runs in his 40s as he did in his 20s. It's bewildering, but it's in left field where he achieved the 2 miracles necessary for sainthood. On August 6, 2013, video made the rounds of Ibanez chasing down the ball, squaring up toward the infield, and throwing it to 27th base. He's not the only one ever to do this. Once in a blue moon, the ball just slips out of a fielder's hand. It happens. But I knew I'd seen him do this before. May 3rd, 2008. Today, this moment, in which he did the exact same thing, lives on only through a GIF. It probably would have been instantly forgotten were it not for our Mariners blog, Lookout Landing. Take a look at all these games. More than 2,000 of them since 2005. And know that the bloggers and commenters of Lookout Landing were telling the story of nearly each and every one of them, inning by inning. They could tell you stories for hours and hours, stories Alex and I have no clue about. If success were all that mattered, these people would have bailed a decade ago. To stick around requires what they might call madness, but what I would call an evolved spirituality, a superior understanding of sports and what they can offer us. Oh, hey buddy.
On September 13th, 2014, The Mariners woke up with an 80-66 record and were right in the very thick of the AL wildcard picture as they prepared for the second game of a huge series versus an A's squad that we already know Seattle was in fierce competition with for a playoff spot. Both teams have their ace on the mound, so runs are likely going to be at a premium. The Mariners look to get on the board first when Logan Morrison draws a one-out walk. Next, catcher Mike Zunino hits a sharp ground ball to Oakland second baseman Eric Sogard, who flips to shortstop Jed Lowry to try and initiate a double play. Now in baseball, you see base runners from time to time take pretty wide slides in an effort to break up potential double plays. But the rule is that when sliding into a base, your body has to stay within arm's length of the bag. Here is Logan Morrison's attempt to break up the double play. Unless he plans on morphing mid-slide into Inspector Gadget, this is problematic. Morrison's a big dude, listed at 6'3", and honestly, I'm not sure he's even within body length of the bag, let alone arm's length. The umps make the easiest interference call of their lives and award Oakland an inning-ending double play. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered and Zunino would have been thrown out anyway, but we'll never know what may have happened. What we do know is the Mariners went on to lose that game by a single run. Had it gone the other way, the Mariners, not the A's, would have snagged the AL's second wildcard spot. Sometimes the Mariners are contagious, and just being on the same playing field as them can infect you with Marineritis. Such as the next year on July 26th with the Blue Jays in town, when Toronto kicked off the top of the fourth by getting runners on the corners with none out. Up comes second baseman Ryan Goins, who hits a ground ball to Mariner first baseman Mark Trumbo, who promptly steps on the bag for one out. One Blue Jay, Kevin Pillar, gets caught in a pickle. Then the other Blue Jay, Ezequiel Carrera, gets caught in a pickle. Somehow this inexplicably ends with a rendezvous between the two at third base. That is not allowed in the sport of baseball, so the latter inhabitant, Pillar, is ruled out. But wait, there's more. From out of nowhere, an extremely muscular ghost descends upon Safeco Field to shove the other Blue Jay, Carrera, off the bag. Tag applied, third out. I have not seen every triple play in the history of baseball, but I'll be damned if that's not the stupidest.
If anything about this story has reminded you in any way of the larger world out there, the one in which these decades have felt like centuries, that was a pure accident that I sincerely apologize for. This is the value that baseball brings, the Mariners especially so. Nothing necessarily belongs to a greater theme or narrative arc, although it sometimes does. Nothing is scripted, nothing is achieved, nothing is taught, nothing is learned. Things are only meaningful as long as we decide they are. It's purely a celebration of human beings at their best and weirdest, and the bizarre, accidental stories they tell within this moon colony. A Seattle Mariners game is a window into what our world might be like if we didn't have important things to do all day. The Mariners have been a reflection of their time in one way, albeit by accident. Their era coincides perfectly with the rise of the individual in our culture. The idea of doing things collectively ebbed in favor of doing it all yourself, whether through the 80s barrage of self-help books, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps lunacy of the 90s, or the rise and grind bullshit of modern times. Similarly, the only plaques or trophies these people could win were the ones they could go and get themselves. The Mariners are almost like an MMA training camp in this way. They don't compete for team titles, they provide a platform for the pursuit of individual greatness. As always with this team, this requires you to reconsider what a team is and what a team can be. It's not a shortcoming, it's simply the way they operate. Randy Johnson was the first in this pantheon to enter the Baseball Hall of Fame. After his years in Seattle, he started a new, entirely different baseball life at age 35, winning 4 straight Cy Young Awards and leading the Arizona Diamondbacks to a World Series title in only their 4th year of existence. And that's how the Diamondbacks, a franchise 21 years younger than the Mariners, saw their hat represented on a Hall of Fame plaque before the Mariners ever did. Of course, Seattle didn't have to wait long. I'm not sure any American athlete has ever been more universally loved than Junior. Jr. even melted the hearts of the notoriously cranky Baseball Writers Association of America. The ballots are confidential, and the last 5 or 10% of the voters are Holstein cows who leave immortals completely off the ballot for reasons they'll never have to explain. More than 5% failed to vote for players like Rickey Henderson and Willie Mays, which should tell you something. But even they showed up for Ken Griffey Jr. He wasn't merely a Hall of Famer. He was a man who received more than 99% of the Writers Association vote, the most in the history of Major League Baseball at that time. More than Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, or Willie Mays. A man who had never played in a single World Series. A Seattle Mariner. In his Hall of Fame speech, Jr. paid tribute to Sr., thanking him for everything he'd done for him.
And he made a decision to play baseball to provide for his family. Because that's what men do. And I love you for that.
Both men could barely get through it. It was a far different story for Edgar Martinez, the night shift factory worker who managed to claw his way tooth and nail into professional baseball. Didn't play his first major league season until age 27, suffered injuries that relegated him to a DH role, and overcame vision problems that almost ended his career. Somehow, through all of that, he became one of the most dependably great hitters in the history of the game. Edgar's one of just 18 players to finish with an OPS of 1,000, at least 5 times, while taking at least 600 plate appearances for each one. That's where the dependable part comes in. What's most remarkable is, while the others started racking up these seasons in their early 20s, Edgar didn't even get going until age 32. He did it through home runs, yeah, but also through an unparalleled ability to smash doubles, hit in all directions, and practice unbelievable plate discipline. He mastered the art as almost no one else ever has. If he hadn't, would the Mariners have gotten every single one of the wins they needed to force that tiebreaker in '95? Would someone else have hit that double? Would the Mariners exist today? Edgar's status as a career DH severely damaged his Hall of Fame candidacy, as though it was his fault that the DH is a position in baseball. Like all players, he had 10 years of eligibility to break the 75% threshold necessary for a plaque. In the first 6 years, his candidacy went nowhere. But Jr. and Randy started campaigning for him. So did other stars around baseball, who told stories of how scary he was to pitch against. Whatever the reason, in true Edgar fashion, he peaked late. And in his final year of eligibility, he was voted into the Hall of Fame. Along with Jr. and Randy, he joined Dave Niehaus, who received the Ford C. Frick Award from the Hall, just a couple years before he passed away. The only remaining question mark from these years is A-Rod. After leaving Seattle, he turned heel. He was resented by fans and the media for any reason they could come up with. How much money he made, his contract dispute with the Yankees, the fact that he was not Derek Jeter, the steroid use he eventually admitted to. Meanwhile, he was busy cobbling together not one, but 2 Hall of Fame caliber careers. This is the OPS of every man in baseball history to play at least 1,000 career games at shortstop. And this chart is the same story, only for third base. A-Rod, whose trade to the Yankees necessitated a move to third, fares pretty well on both leaderboards. By this standard, he is the very best hitting shortstop of all time. He is also, by a nose, the very best hitting third baseman of all time. A-Rod is the anti-Junior, the teen phenom from Seattle who did choose to use steroids, who was willing to play for the Yankees, who did eventually win a World Series ring. It's a hobby among baseball fans to wonder what Junior might have accomplished if the Fates hadn't taken a sledgehammer to his 30s. Well, maybe in Alex Rodriguez we see the answer. Thanks to his admitted steroid use, there's no telling exactly what the voters are going to make of A-Rod when he becomes eligible for voting in a couple of years. Maybe it hurts him. Maybe he's been rehabilitated by his second life as a CNBC dork. I really hope he makes it in. I love this goofus.
In 2019, the Mariners started off by winning 13 of their first 15 games. That was the very most in Major League Baseball, and in fact was so remarkably good that going back over 7 decades, 21 of the other 29 teams have failed to ever begin a season by winning that many of their first 15 games. The Seattle Mariners had never started this hot. Even in their historic 2001 campaign, they only won 11 of their first 15. But then, the 2019 M's immediately dropped 37 of their next 49. Also the very most in MLB, and a run so remarkably bad that 6 other teams throughout that same period have never suffered that many losses in any 49-game stretch. Again, a preposterous fluctuation of historical highs instantaneously plummeting to historical lows. Only the Mariners. It was all part of a season where, thanks to no shortage of injuries, ineffectiveness, and blowout losses, Seattle used 42 different pitchers, the most in Major League Baseball history. They broke the record that they themselves tied just 2 years earlier. The Mariners had now gone a literal generation wandering through the MLB abyss. There are actual human beings on this earth born after October 2001 who have reached adulthood without ever having existed during a Mariners playoff run. And across those pesky 18 seasons that followed their 0-1 postseason qualification, in which they failed to make a single return trip, 28 of the other 29 MLB teams had secured multiple playoff appearances. And even the Marlins get a pardon for parlaying their lone trip into a world championship.
This was the year the last 2 great Mariners said goodbye. When they began their season with a series in the Tokyo Dome, a 45-year-old Ichiro Suzuki suited up to play 2 final games. It was purely set up as a crowd pleaser, as his abilities were mostly gone. Mostly gone. In Ichiro's final plate appearance, the oldest outfielder to start a game in more than 100 years came this close to legging out an infield single. Junior had made the trip to Japan so he could be there to greet him. Also there was Felix, who was now the last truly great Mariner left. For the last 30 years straight, the Mariners had always had at least one iconic player on their roster. But while Ichiro is a guaranteed lock to enter the Hall of Fame the second he's eligible, things aren't as simple for Felix Hernandez. Felix's fastball regressed, and as he struggled to adapt, his effectiveness has disappeared. In a hurry, he went from great to good to average to terrible by Major League standards. Being a Seattle Mariner, pennants and World Series titles were never in play for him, leaving things like a Hall of Fame plaque the only hardware he could aspire to. 5 years ago, he seemed destined for one. In 2020, as he approaches just his 34th birthday but struggles to remain in the major leagues at all, it doesn't seem likely. Felix had stayed in Seattle, and had given this team and these fans every piece of himself until there wasn't much of anything left. The team was going to move on. When he took the mound for the last time, everyone knew it was the last time. It's true that his final start was a loss that dropped his record to 1-8 on the season, that he allowed 5 hits and 4 walks in 5 innings and change, and that the Mariners were lucky to only be losing 3-1 when he left the mound. It's true that just weeks later, the Washington Nationals would win a championship, leaving the Seattle Mariners as the only team in Major League Baseball that has never even appeared in a single World Series. But when I watch him say goodbye, and when I watch the Kings Court pour out enough love to last him through whatever comes next, I mean,
The King and his court one final time.
who gives a shit? What is next? Well, I suppose it's a matter of whether the last 43 years were an accident. Did the Seattle Mariners stumble blindly into the most bizarre stories and fascinating people, generation after generation, purely by chance? Or are there reasons? Are they eccentric because their lack of conquest on the field affords them to be? Are they so geographically remote that the ceaseless march of the normal can't reach them? Do their fans love them so unconditionally that they're allowed to ferment into something so captivating? Are they touched by God? Will they always be like this? before he vanished forever. Nearby resident Roger Smotus, who suggested the name of this team, also supplied an explanation for why he liked the name. I've selected Mariners because of the natural association between the sea and Seattle and her people, who have been challenged and rewarded by it.